TV, man. That's my dude.
Yeah.
I rolls with him.
You heard what the man said. It's Flight Sports TV.
Like I said, Flight Sports TV, that's where it's at.
Flight Sports TV.
What's going on, people? It's Flight Sports TV. I appreciate y'all for checking with me. I already know what it is. We back with another one of them things. We got a lot to discuss. We got ourselves a live stream for the people, man. We're gonna cook up some good basketball talk. There's a lot of things going on. Obviously, this season has just been hectic. You got injuries, you got surprises everywhere. We got an all-star game that just took place, all-star Saturday night, new formats. But we in the middle of the road, ladies and gentlemen. We're in the middle of the road, and there's a lot of things to break down. Who's going to win it all? Who's exciting? Who is got the fire? Who's going to catch lightning in the bottle headed into this stretch? This is what everybody is talking about. This is what everybody awaits, after All-Star break, headed into the postseason. And I'm telling you, I got a lot of different picks who I believe is going to surprise some people. And then you might even hear some surprises tonight. It's Flight Sports TV. I got all access with me. Dex, what's the deal? It's Flight Sports. We live.
Yes, sir. Shout out to Flight Sports TV, the machine, the voice of the voiceless, the people's champ, the hottest in the streets. Shout out to the panel as it reaches its premium peak. Shout out to the chat and all of its cacophony spewing out of the cracks and crevices of Flight Sports Block. And shout out and big ups to everybody pulling up the Flight Sports TV. Please hit that like button. Please hit that subscribe button. And don't take for granted the notification bell, because you don't want to miss one iota of an exuberant experience. So, Flight, yes, this is very intriguing to see the second half of basketball, and what a surprise that's on the horizon, because I always was of the ilk, the San Antonio Spurs head coach had Coach of the Year on lock. But to my surprise, Bernie Bickerstaff Jr. has overtaken that slot and is his to lose. And as we get more into the cursor of the meat of the stream, it's going to be surprising who my pick is going to be to probably finish off the season on top. And before we go into that, let's speak about some surprises that entering or seem to be entering the postseason activity, playing more than 82 games. And I would like to get you to share two of your surprising, one from the East and one from the West, that
Right.
looks like it appears they're going to play 83 games or more.
Well, I say for the Eastern Conference, let's start with the Detroit Pistons. I didn't
No.
expect.
No. 83 games or more is not for the top Because we already know they're going to play 83 games. We're talking about the lower tier competition of
Oh,
each conference.
oh, oh,
Who
okay.
surprised you from the bottom?
Oh well, obviously the Charlotte Hornets on the Eastern Conference. We all know why. I'm gonna look at towards the West real quick because I want to give a thorough analysis. Because like I said, I will say the Hornets is obviously the surprise in the East. I think that's a no-brainer. Let's look at the West real quick. Um, I'm gonna go with the Portland Trailblazers. Out west, believe it or not. I'm gonna start with Portland before we get into Charlotte. I never thought that I didn't know much about Denny. I didn't know much about Denny Avdija. That I didn't know that Denny Avdija was a star, a number one option kind of type player. The Blazers, surprisingly, they're 27 and 29. I didn't expect them to be doing what they're doing. I'm not even sure they're getting nothing from Scoot Henderson, if I'm not mistaken. I don't even believe he's even playing. Last time I checked, so I'm surprised that. Actually, as I'm looking, wait a minute. I don't want to speak too soon. Scoot Henderson has been playing. He played in his previous game, but it seems like the team is not really. I would have thought that Scoot would have been the number one option. I'm surprised that we got a Denny Avdija sighting, and they are elevating into that to possibly even a playoff team in the West. And then Lord knows if Damian Lillard, that's always hanging over like candy over a baby. Is he going to come back and play? I could see a situation where maybe they make it to the play-in, they activate Dame, and all bets are off. You know what I mean? From there, if they get Damian Lillard, in Portland where he's from, not where he's from, but we all know Portland is basically his home, his second home now. I think that just all bets could be off for Portland. Look out for them if he comes back and surprises. They may go to the second round for crying out loud. Maybe even make a push to the Western Conference Finals. How the West look. Now, obviously, the Charlotte Hornets. They started the season terrible. Um, I never thought that they was going to be able to resurrect their season. I still think that the jury is out on them. So just give Charlotte some more time. They have to continue, but I think they are catching lightning in a bottle. Every time, and what I will say, the Eastern Conference looks like it's going to bottom out. The Hornets may become one of the 10th seeds by default if they're the only 10 teams that's actually competing. And that's what it's looking like in the Eastern Conference right now, especially if we don't get a Giannis sighting. If we don't get a Giannis sighting, I don't know. The Chicago Bulls, they are 24 and 31. I could see a situation where they may not even look. They traded for a bunch of young players. They may want to bottom out and get a good pick in this draft. That would bode well for Chicago. Charlotte, they got to make the postseason. You got a collection of veterans. You got some young players. It's time. It's either now or let's start shipping people out. I'm shocked how the Hornets did it because they was on the verge of a complete, overhaul with the roster. I could see if we don't remember, it was three names in trade rumors. It was Trey Young, it was John Morant, and it was Lamelo Ball. We've seen Trey Young take his talents to Washington, D.C. John Morant, they let go of Jaren Jackson Jr. We all know that John Morant is out the door, possibly this off season. Now Lamelo looks like he's going to be the lone wolf who survives all of the stuff that the media threw out there. And the Hornets, he's completely bought in, and he's one of the reasons and the catalyst of why they are one of the surprises. What's your thoughts on who are two of your surprise teams down bottom?
Yeah, we're going to pack more of that Charlotte Hornet ingredients as we roll on. I'm with you in the Western Conference. Portland Trailblazers most definitely, as far as being in, and the Los Angeles Clippers. I'm surprised they're so far down. they scaving the concrete. And even though James Harden has departed from the Clippers, I still expected the Clippers to be better than that. Zubac departed as well, but I still expected the Clippers to be better than that. And maybe those individuals probably wouldn't have departed this season. But nevertheless, that is the situation at the Inuit Dome, and they got Kawhi got to live with it. But the Portland Trailblazers, like Danny Avila.
Avdija. Yeah, how you say it?
Avdija, that's how you pronounce it, Avdija. Well,
Yeah.
he's Jewish.
Yeah.
He's a Jewish cat, and he's an open practice Jew, and we haven't seen a Jew at that level since Blake. Was it James Blake that came out of Maryland and eventually played with the Los Angeles Lakers in the latter years? And he was openly, Jewish. Used to wear his yarmulke even into the games, the Laker games. So he wasn't hiding anything to that nature. So to have this cat, how you pronounce it again?
Danny Avdija.
Avdija, yeah, Danny Avdija. I used to always pronounce his name wrong. Danny Avdija, averaging 25 and 6, right? That's all-star material. And he is a part of the Lamelo Ball draft class. Let's not forget that. That is one of the most prolific draft class in NBA history, that 2020 draft class. They don't talk about it much because they're always trying to bring up the next draft class to surpass that, and none have done it as of yet. But when you look at that draft class, I think it was between 14 and 16 that received rookie extensions, the most ever in the draft class. So Denny doing what he's doing, or with the Portland Trailblazers, as well as what's his name, Kuminga? I mean, not Kuminga. What's the center name? Klingham. Yeah, that guy. Man, he is a window washer. I mean, he's taking the rebounds. I think he's almost like a double-double guy. You can damn near pencil him in for a double-double. So you got a two-headed monster, and then you got the Jeremy Grant. You got the what's my boy name from the house?
Drew
Holiday. You got Drew Holiday and company, and Shaden Sharp is as good as he is. He is in the shadows now. Remember, he was one of the ones people thought would take over for Anthony Simons.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Shaden Sharp is, I mean, that's crazy how things turn. So big up to Avdija and big up to Klingo for taking on that role. Jeremy Grant got paid a significant amount of money to become a Portland Trailblazer and to remain a Portland Trailblazer. I know his people, the Grants. Some of them out of my area. They used to live kind of down the street from my daughter's mom, and he has a cousin that's older than him, around my age. She was a beast in high school, John Muir High School, Angie Grant. And she ended up getting, I think she got a scholarship to UNLV, because that team, that was one of the teams. His big cousin played on a team at John Muir, Pasadena, that won the CIF championship as well as the men. She played in the era with the Stacey Augmon, right? So Stacey Augmon then won the men's basketball, high school basketball, and Angie was part of the winner of the women. And that was a big thing in Pasadena, to have men and women win, their respective national championship, from state championship. So he comes from a line of hoopers. We all know his uncle, and we all know his dad, right? So they both played in the NBA. So they got a decent pedigree over there in Portland. And then you to the Eastern Conference. I gotta agree, like Charlotte Hornets. I mean, when we
Yeah.
look at the Charlotte Hornets, they're the hottest team in the NBA right now. In the last 10 games, because the NBA measure the barometer by 10 games increment. And in the last 10 games going into the All-Star break, the Charlotte Hornets is the hottest team. Surprisingly, to even say that. They're joined with the Cleveland Cavaliers at 9-1 in the last 10 games, despite being at the bottom tier of the Eastern Conference competition, only above Atlanta. So the Charlotte Hornets is the 19th best team in the league, and that has rendered them an opportunity moving forward to play past 82 games. So yes, I agree with you, Flight. Portland in the West, Charlotte Hornets in the East. And what can we say about Lamelo Ball, right? I think Lamelo Ball has swallowed a lot of medicine this season. And I don't know if it was all willingly, but it was peacefully due to the fact that the emergence of Con Knipple and Brandon Miller getting East Coast Player of the Month. I mean, a week. I think he got East Coast Player of the Week. I think he got East Coast Player of the Week. And Con Knipple received, I think, twice Rookie of the Month for the Eastern Conference. So those two young men emerging for the Charlotte Hornets have put them in a good position to move forward. Like so, Charlotte in the East, Portland in the West.
Yeah, most definitely. Like I said, there's a lot of good teams out there. Charlotte, obviously, they surpassing some people. One of the biggest things also is we just had an All-Star game, a whole entire weekend transpired. I'm not sure if you watched any of the stuff, but what did you think of the actual game and the format? Did you think that there was any more competitiveness and it was any more competitive than it has been? Pardon me. What's your thoughts on the game? Because it was pretty confusing to me. You had the game split up. I happened to be watching it, at a bar, and the sound was off, and I was confused at what the hell was going on. Were they stopping and another team? Like it just looked ridiculous. But what I will say is it did look sortly competitive. It looked like I seen some defense being played, but still, the shit is a mess. What the hell has happened to the All Star game? And what was your thoughts on what happened 24 hours ago?
Well, I'm a little stoic at the All Star in the new format and things of that nature. I understand business wise why it's like this because the NBA trying to expand and they're trying to expand beyond the borders of 2,000, 3,000 square feet, even though they do have a team up in Canada. But most people think Canada is just an extension of America. You heard the current president say Canada is the United States anyway. But nevertheless, they want to expand their league overseas and have a good firm foot in the European basketball market because that is a new wave that is sweat a lot of basketball pundits and even some purists who appreciate the way the Europeans are playing basketball because they're more fundamentally sound and they might not be as athletic, but they do have athleticism than the Americans, but they're more profoundly fundamental. You know, um, they're not having the persona of diva-ish or being selfish. You know, I guess Luca is an aberration of that character or caricature that is being promoted by the NBA of European players. But outside of Luca, it seemed like all of them seem to be team oriented and very competitive on both sides of the ball, and they're trying to make their way into the conversation as some of the greatest basketball players of all time. that I understand, but I'm more of a purist when it comes to All-Star. There ain't no separation, right? It's only integration. And the only way you're going to integrate is you got to have the numbers to be deserving to be an all-star. And when I mean the numbers, not so much scoring, but numbers that consist of rebounding, numbers consist of defensive efficiency, numbers consist of steals, blocks. You feel what I'm saying? Because all those stat categories count towards players and their legacy. So if you got players that's outstanding rebounders, all-star. You got players outstanding block shot, all-star. Players that's defensive efficiency, all-star. It ain't got to just be your top scorers, you know. Your top scorers should only matter if they play both sides of the ball. If you're not playing both sides of the ball, I think that should be a strike against you when it comes to be an all-star, because you're not exerting as much energy as another player that's playing both sides of the ball, and you only averaging a half a point more or 2 assists more. You know what I'm saying? So I'm one of those of that ilk to appreciate all-star games. In the competition, Anthony Edwards, Wemby, you know, that's good. Young guys that's trying to break that cycle of friendship basketball. That is commending, and I appreciate that. Anthony Edwards, they're begging him to be the face of the league because they failed miserably trying to promote Zion Williamson and John Morant. Those are 2 miserable fails, basically back to back. So they're looking at Anthony Edwards to be the face of the league. We already know Jason Tatum turned him down several times. So that's the only person they can get to. So if they're trying to include Wemby, Wemby is a foreigner. And this is why that format was so necessary, according to Adam Silver, is because he's like, okay, I'm not going to wait on Americans to be the face of the league. If y'all just want to go out and play basketball and then play when the game is not being on, or you're not on the court and you don't want to promote and be an ambassador to the game, then I'm looking elsewhere. And overseas, those gentlemen looks like they are waiting in the wing to be the face of the league and to be an ambassador for basketball, taking it beyond the borders and shores of the Atlantic Ocean and the Pacific Ocean and even the Indian Ocean flight.
Most definitely. What do you think? What do you think about some of the teams up top in the Eastern Conference? Teams like Detroit, Oklahoma City. Do you think that Detroit is a serious threat to make it to the finals? Do you think they could be knocked off early? What do you think about them?
Yeah, I don't even think they're going to make the conference final if they meet the Knicks or the Cleveland Cavaliers in the second round. What most people are not paying attention to is the revamp of the Cleveland Cavaliers. Yes, they punted Lonzo Ball away, and it was sad to see because we wanted to see playoffs go. But that's something we hadn't seen yet. We want to see if the big baller himself, how will I say this? Annunciation of those type of meaningful games, and how every dribble will count, and how Zoe will be on top and show his IQ and take a team over the hump. And Cleveland was one of those teams that everybody championed that Lonzo would be a part of. You know, that or the Houston Rockets. One of those 2 teams that was championed that Lonzo would be a part of. Not so much the Clippers because they already had James Harden. So they was kind of already settled in their backcourt. But James Harden is gone now. There's room for Lonzo to go to the Clippers. Let's see what happens. Right now, he just in limbo, even though that there's talks amongst teams in his representation that his skill set is needed, just depending on his medical records. So the Cleveland Cavaliers, go ahead.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
Now I was saying the Cleveland Cavaliers, to me, might be the best team in the Eastern Conference.
Mm.
And yes, I'm going out on the line and saying that because last season was an aberration. And the point guard whisperer himself, Kenny Atkinson, ended up winning Coach of the Year, right? For the magnificent job he did turning that organization around and putting them on top of the heap of the Eastern Conference. But this year, it's nothing surprising about the Cleveland Cavaliers, and teams are waiting for them to walk through their corridors so they can smash them. Detroit this year is the surprising team. And Bernie Bickerstaff Jr. have them ready to play night in and night out is because, as Dave Loaf used to say, Detroit versus everybody, right? Or even Jalen Rose used to say, Detroit versus everybody. So that's the mentality that Bernie Bickerstaff Jr. have instilled in them, and they have responded by being the best team per record in the NBA. But I just don't believe the Detroit Pistons have the best roster in the NBA.
Yeah, I see some holes there. I can't wait till they play the New York Knicks again this Thursday when the season opens up. It's going to be interesting to see. I think that's a must-win for New York. I think they got to at least send somewhat of a message to Detroit because Detroit been kind of a little bolsterous, towards New York. I thought that this was New York's conference to win. Because if they don't win it this year, then what the hell, especially at least get to the finals. I think if they win it, they win it, but at least get there. This next year, I think it's going to be even harder. But Detroit is the roadblock, it seems. I feel you with Cleveland, but I don't think that Cleveland has enough. James Harden is not we all know what happens to him in the postseason. He's almost like Julius Randle when he was with New York. He's been very terrible in the playoffs. He has Donovan Mitchell now. Donovan I believe, is going to step it up. He always puts up his buckets. But James Harden always flops when they need him. And as you go up in the Eastern Conference, where you see the Detroits and you see the New Yorks and they got people who could defend. You could put a Thompson on somebody out there and shut somebody down. You go to New York, you got Bridges, you got OG, you got all these different defenders. You're talking about 2 top-tier defenders with those 2 alone. I think that could cause problems, for a Cleveland Cavalier team who don't really have much offense after them. If they take out Donovan Mitchell, if they take out Harden, what is it, Max Strus? I mean, come on, give me a break. I mean, these guys I don't like Cleveland. I think that they're a joke. I think that they're going to flop in the end. And let's see what happens. I'm not a big fan of the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Well, James Harden did have a success with his first season with the Clippers. If it wasn't for Kawhi Leonard going down in that playoff series, they would have beat the Phoenix Suns, and they would have eventually went and played the Milwaukee Bucks in the NBA Finals. But that's business history. It didn't happen. That was the only time that you could say that James Harden held his britches. Outside of that, yes, James Harden has been an epic failure when it comes to playoff situations, and especially in what you consider the conference finals. James Harden walked through 1 or 2 series. He has no problem walking through 1 or 2 series. But when the cookies crumble, then he's starting to eat the crumbs from the crumbled cookie, and that's how has been his mark against him. But I just think that James Harden, when he's not the main feature, like he was with the Clippers that year, Kawhi was the main feature. I think James Harden can swell. If it wasn't for Kyrie and James Harden being limped in Brooklyn, they probably would have had a different turnout. And you got to remember, KD was the main character at the Brooklyn Nets, and James Harden was having a decent season, a decent series, Kyrie goes down, James Harden dealing with a limp hamstring, and KD shoe was just 2 centimeters too big, or otherwise history would have been rewritten. So I just think James Harden, with this situation with the Cleveland Cavaliers not being the main man, so he don't have to worry about his sweaty palms. Get a ball either to Mobley or get the ball to Donovan Mitchell, because we already know Donovan Mitchell is a bucket. The only problem that I have with the Cleveland Cavaliers and a potential roadblock for their success and their run to glory will be the New York Knicks, because the New York Knicks is not afraid of the Cleveland Cavaliers. The New York Knicks have problems with the Detroit Pistons. There is a mixed match with Cade Cunningham and Jalen Bronson. Jalen Bronson will get his grits, but Cade Cunningham, when it comes down to it, he can practically deny, not shut down, but deny Jalen Bronson on crucial possessions, because Cade is a decent defender and Jalen Bronson is a matador. It's strictly ole. You can basically walk through the bucket if Jalen Bronson is guarding you, and plus his height is an impediment to deter any decent basketball player. So don't even consider Jalen Bronson as being a defensive deterrent, because he's not, and that's why the Detroit Pistons have run amok through New York, and they played 2 styles of basketball. So big ups to Bernie for that, Bernie Bickerstaff Jr., because they can play gritty basketball with their length and girth pause, or they can run up and down the court and be, some cheetahs. So New York don't have that. New York has one style of basketball. If that's not working, there's not much to adjust. You follow what I'm saying? So that's the only thing the Cleveland Cavaliers might have that kind of impediment, or would you consider the lion laying in the middle of the road? Do you walk past the lion? Do you go around the lion? Or do you retreat? And the New York Knicks represent that lion to the Cleveland Cavaliers, that lion in the road.
Yeah, back to, like I said, I believe the Knicks have to win. I think it's still going to be going through that suspension. You don't have Stewart. The Knicks got to figure out a way to win that game at home on Thursday, because I think it wouldn't bode well to lose to them, especially with some of their key guys out. I'm trying to think of some other. There's a lot going on. What do you think about the San Antonio Spurs with Victor Wembanyama? Let's look at their standing in the Western Conference. The Spurs are 2, the second seed. They're 38-16. The Thunder, I mean, they look good, but something seems low off about OKC this year. It's just maybe they'll catch lightning in the bottle, but they something just don't look right with them. They just feel like they're not going to win it this year. What do you think about San Antonio possibly, doing something? Who would have thought they would skyrocket like this? Wembanyama, Fox, the guards up there, they're figuring it out. They look like they don't have to trade anybody. What do you think about San Antonio?
I mean, when you look at the San Antonio makeup, right, you had players that was really decent for San Antonio that's coming off the bench, like Keldon Johnson, LaSalle, Johan Sacre. Those were players that was heavily contributing to the San Antonio Spurs in the last 3 seasons. And Vassell is out of that Lamelo draft class as well. So you know that the Spurs have always been tough. They just didn't have the talent to push them over the hump, but they've always been a tough team to play night in and night out, regardless of what their record was. Now you got Harper, right? You got Castle, and you got Wimby, and your boy Fox. I mean, that's an incredible roster right there. And who's their center? I mean, not the center. I mean, the backup center. Let me see who that backup center is. Oh yeah, you got Harrison Barnes. Harrison Barnes. Um, what's this? No, Champagne's a forward. I thought he was a center, but sometimes he plays center, right? Champagne, the Frenchman. But yeah, you got San Antonio really have a good roster, but it's the world roster, right? Most of their players are foreign born and been introduced to NBA basketball, but have European style that they're trying to amalgamate with the NBA, and it's working. And then they have a young coach that's eager, that fights for his guys, that's champion their good play, and edge them on at every increment of the basketball game. And so when they get into crunch time, which is the last 5 minutes of a game, or in 5 points or less, they're not afraid. So that's why I had an early pick of the San Antonio Spurs head coach being the coach of the year until Bernie Bickerstaff made that surge towards the latter part of the first half of the season and end up on top and got the best record in all of the NBA. So shout out to the Detroit Pistons for doing that. And you asked me about the Oklahoma City Thunder. I don't think it's too much wrong with the Oklahoma City Thunder. Nobody is surprised by them anymore. I mean, Mark Daigneault, former coach of the year, Shea, current MVP. So there's nothing wrong with them. It's just teams are up and ready for them. Because prior to last season, like they were a playing team. Remember, there was a playing team, and all of a sudden they just turned it around and they wiped the Denver Nuggets, and all hell broke loose. So I just think that teams are more prepared to play Oklahoma City Thunder, and you still have Chet Holmgren as a strong candidate, and now become the favorite over Wembanyama, because Wembanyama, according to Vegas, Wembanyama is 4 games away of disqualifying himself for any individual awards. If he missed 4 games, no All NBA, no All Defensive Player, no nothing. So you have Wembanyama, Chet Holmgren, and Rudy Gobert. His name seems to always come up. The Defensive Player of the Year. But then the playoffs come, Rudy Gobert shrinks. So you got Chet Holmgren for the Oklahoma City Thunder is in the running for Defensive Player of the Year. So I don't think there's nothing really wrong with the Oklahoma City Thunder. I just think that the Oklahoma City Thunder is just facing real hard competition night in and night out, and you're not sneaking up on anybody. And here you got Jay, MVP of the league, and some of these American-born players that's playing against Shea might slight that a little bit and start looking at, hey, man, a lot of these foreigners are getting MVP, and American-born players are not. Maybe we need to play these guys harder when we face up against them, like the Jokic and the Sheas and the Giannis's of the world. So Oklahoma City Thunder is on track. They have the second best record. They came out the chute on fire. And maybe there's a little fatigue set in, and the All-Star break probably the best thing that probably happened for the OKC. So let's see what happens in the second leg of basketball.
Most definitely. Most definitely. Let's see what happens. But if you could pinpoint any team who looks like they're the favorite for the championship, is it OKC?
Well, I just think San Antonio has a number. Somebody asked me that a few streams ago in the chat. And this was before San Antonio played them this last time. And San Antonio wiped them again. No. Did San Antonio beat them that time? No, I think Oklahoma City won that. But San Antonio beat them 2 out of 3 so far, and I think they played one more time. I just think San Antonio has the number. If they can avoid San Antonio at all costs, they will punch their ticket at 50% representation of the NBA Finals. But if they run into San Antonio, I just think that San Antonio have their number, regardless of the experience. Because remember when Oklahoma City Thunder had the Denver Nuggets number. And it was like, well, just wait till they get into the playoffs. They don't got no experience. The Denver Nuggets will wipe them. You got Jokic, current MVP, two-time MVP, and yeah, it won't be no problem. I mean, not current, former two-time MVP, because that season I think Joe Embiid won the MVP. And look what happened. The Oklahoma City Thunder took it to task.
Yeah, they did. So we're gonna find out. You're right about that. Okay, I mean OKC seems like they're having some trouble with San Antonio. Listen. We got to see what happens when everybody gets healthy, because OKC hasn't been right. You always got to look at Minnesota. I think that Minnesota is a team. As long as they got Anthony Edwards, all bets are off. Seeding hasn't been a problem for them. If you match up Minnesota with any of them, they have to be concerned. Right now, if everything stopped, they would play Denver. Do you think Minnesota is afraid of Denver? Do you think Anthony Edwards wants to be licking his chops to go?
No, he's not. He's not afraid of Denver, but he's not licking his chops either, because Denver is to be respected. Look what they did in the absence of Jokic, right? Jamal Murray just went on a tear, and then towards Jokic return, they kind of lost a couple of games, maybe anticipating Jokic. So a lot of people probably took the feet off the gas pedal, and teams snuck up on them and beat them, I think, back-to-back games. But nevertheless, Jokic returns, Jamal Murray's there. I think Aaron Gordon is coming back, right?
Yeah.
I think he'll be coming back towards the last leg of the season. So they're going to be all right. Denver going to be all right, and they're to be respected, because they're former champions, and that championship team, even though a lot of pieces have dissipated and departed, but nevertheless, the core of that team is still there. That three-headed monster is still there. So Denver's to be respected. So nobody's looking at chops trying to see Denver. I can tell you that right now.
Right. But like I said, I just think Edwards is going to be a problem for any of them, including San Antonio. They may have a defensive scheme, because San Antonio does have defenders. But it's just something I think Edwards just rises to that occasion. He's got sometimes he gives you that the feeling of how LeBron was, when Kobe, he'll just take over a game at some points, So I want to see if he could do that up against some of these other teams. Last year, I think there was a 6th seed as well, if I'm not mistaken. I'll go double check that. But they ended up in the conference finals last year. Again, they've been in the conference finals. Yeah, no, they didn't make it the year before with Cat, but they was in the conference finals last year, and it was in the 6th seed. So I think that you always got to look out for Minnesota.
I think Minnesota got back-to-back, right? Back-to-back conference finals. They played.
Well, I'm
they
not
played
sure
Dallas.
if they made it to the conference
They played
finals.
Dallas. Remember, they played Dallas one year, and then they played OKC.
Yeah, but I
So
think
they
they
got
lost in the
back-to-back.
second round to
But
Dallas.
who did Dallas
Dallas
beat
faced
then?
Dallas beat OKC to get to the
Oh, was
finals.
OKC they beat in that conference finals?
That's why
I thought it was no. I think it's Minnesota.
I got to double check, but I
That's
don't know.
Minnesota.
I got to double check.
Yeah, I think it's Minnesota, because OKC beat Minnesota last season, right? If my memory, listen, you're younger than me, but if my memory served me well,
I
Minnesota
forgot.
went twice.
I don't follow them heavy like that. I have to.
Yeah,
look
neither do I, but I just remember that Minnesota went twice, back-to-back, lost to Dallas, lost to OKC.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, Minnesota's something to be reckoned with as well, because sometimes they say the third time is a charm. So if Minnesota was to get back there for the third time, they might just get over the hump, like the Detroit Pistons. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I'm talking about Detroit Pistons of the Isaiah Thomas era, the original Bad Boys. They got the third one. Once they got the third one, they lost to Boston, lost to the Lakers, and then third time they beat the Lakers. Not only did they beat the
Dallas,
Lakers, they wiped the Lakers off the
the
board.
Dallas beat. I don't mean to cut you off. Dallas beat Minnesota
Yep,
4-1 in
yep,
the conference finals.
yep.
So Minnesota, so basically, they beat OKC, I think, in the second round that
Of
year.
that year, yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm saying that Minnesota went back to back, right? Back to back Western Conference championships.
Oh no, they didn't. I didn't see that.
Oh,
So
Denver was there
let me
last
see.
year.
No, you are right. You are
Yeah,
right.
yeah, because Oklahoma City beat Denver.
This back to back. This back to back. No, this back to
Yeah,
back for Minnesota. You are
yeah,
right.
yeah. Exactly. Thank you, Flight.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, because remember that was a tough series with Denver and OKC. And people was like, well, don't worry about it. Remember I was telling you earlier, they were saying, oh, don't worry about it. Denver's experienced. OKC, they just having a good run. And even though they handled Denver in that regular season, Denver's going to get them. Denver has the pedigree. They have the coach. They have the players. OKC will run out of gas. Denver will take care of them. OKC beat them in 7 games.
Yep. So I mean, like I said, look out, Minnesota. Who's to say it? That's why I said I'm gonna put Minnesota as a threat again, because, like I said, they got Edwards, and he could possibly wreak havoc on one of these teams. I'm telling you, fuck around and dunk on Wembanyama. He might mess around and make these dudes look like they null and void, and go to the podium and start talking shit. So I mean, this kind of player he is. I've got a lot of respect for him. Especially his game. Because of what I've been watching. Through every playoff, this dude is just taking it up a notch.
Now, Flight,
What's
you
up?
talk Anthony Edwards, right?
Yes.
But that's why I was explaining to you how the NBA is basically begging this man to be the face of the league, and he keeps turning him down. He said, "Look at Wemby. Let Wemby take it over." Because Anthony Edwards really don't want it. Shout out to the chat, everybody. Shout out to the chat. I love your engagement. How do I don't know how to ask you this, Flight, but I trust you in your judgment, and I trust you that you'll give, the correct answer. You won't try to be PC or pander to the public. How does this look to Lamelo Ball and Anthony Edwards? It just seems to be head and shoulders above right now.
Well, I mean, like I said, it's tough to say. LaMelo hasn't had the teams that this guy has had. We got to just acknowledge that. Dude, he's had an organization who has made massive trades, swings, picked people up. I mean, they did it. They've assembled. It seems like they've had a better led organization thus far. Now, the jury is still out with Peterson. Peterson looked like he's building through the draft. He's also brought in some veterans here and there. He just made this trade for Kobe White. Let's see what that materializes into. So I think it's tough to say that, because LaMelo he didn't have a Karl Anthony Towns. When he got to Charlotte, that shit was a mess. I mean, there was no number one. They had Gordon Hayward when he was pretty much on his last leg.
No, not Gordon Hayward. They had Cody Zeller. That's who their big man was. Cody Zeller
Yeah,
and
they
Big
had Zeller,
Netanyahu.
yeah.
Because you
They got
mentioned
Cody
Karl
Zeller.
Anthony Towns. Yeah.
You're right. They did, but see, that's what a lot of people don't give credit to. Cat and this whole Anthony Edwards dynamic. Edwards was able to go somewhere where Cat was the number one option before, so he was able to grow into this player that we all know and love. And mind you, Cat was on them all-star teams just as well, with Edwards. He was very much responsible for the conference finals run, and and now ushered in Edwards. Edwards took it over single handedly, but Cat had big moments, in helping him get there. He was the clear number two. Yeah, he was the number two.
Minnesota had two All-Stars, don't forget. They had Cat and D'Lo.
Who?
D'Angelo Russell.
Yeah, you're right. D-Lo, yeah, I don't think he's made the All-Star team before, but I don't think he made it.
Yeah, so he's an All-Star. So he's always considered an All-Star.
Yeah, you could say
once
that.
you make the All-Star, you consider an All-Star player.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. But like I said, Edwards was the man. But LaMelo didn't have that. It would have been nice if he came into the league and he had, like I said, an elite veteran at the time, but he didn't have that. But it is what it is. So let's see what Melo looks like when he has a competent organization. We're seeing that to a degree. Let's see what
But
happens.
You mentioned,
go ahead.
Yeah, you mentioned, I don't want this to escape me, that's why. You mentioned that Big Cat was an integral part of Anthony Edwards' growth and development to help him give him the confidence, the springboard to where he is right now. So if the Charlotte Hornets and Lamelo Ball is to look in that pattern, then Kobe White probably not the answer. They probably need some inside interior depth or talent.
I think that's next. You look at a Bam Adebayo down there in Miami. How much longer do they really have? I mean, come on, Miami. You just give it up. I mean, let's unload some pieces. Let some of these guys go. And I think Charlotte could be in the running for a team like that. Charlotte got the pieces to make a move. They just got to make their situation attractive, for some of these people. Make a swing in the postseason. Let LaMelo electrify. All eyes on low. Could you imagine a round one series? Let's just hypothetically speaking, round one. Detroit versus Charlotte, game one in Detroit. LaMelo Ball versus Cade. Could you just imagine this shit? All eyes. Who the hell are you crazy? That would be retarded. Hypothetically speaking, could you imagine game one, the Charlotte Hornets, LaMelo Ball in Madison Square Garden, facing the New York Knicks, game one of his first playoffs? What is LaMelo gonna do? And is at Madison Square Garden? Now the Garden fans ain't gonna boo LaMelo. I think they're gonna be in oohs and ahs. I'm gonna keep it 100 with you. They ain't gonna get the Trae Young treatment. But we gonna see. But I'm just saying this is something we just haven't seen yet. So I mean, let's see what happens now when he's got some pieces possibly, and they able to make this situation more attractive, where maybe Giannis puts them on his short list. LaMelo and them, they damn near pushed Detroit to 7 games or 6 games, or they lost in 5, but shit, they was in the running every game and fell off at the last second. They just need a closer. They need another weapon. They need, whatever. So hopefully they put themselves in that situation. And it starts with getting to the playoffs. So that way, go ahead.
Yeah. But you inserted the Knicks in there. So how do the Knicks fall in this picture if Detroit is 6 games in front of the Knicks and 5.5 games in front of Boston? So the Knicks are the 3rd seed. So how will the Knicks fall in to be able to play the Charlotte Hornets in the first round?
I might have jumped the gun a little bit in terms of possibly the Knicks going to the 2nd seed. Remember, the play-in, you face either 1 or 2. The Knicks and Celtics, they pretty much neck and neck. I mean, a slip here, a slip there. They're gonna be interchanging. I see a situation where Charlotte could face either the 1st or the 2nd seed. Potentially, and I'm thinking New York will be there, or maybe they want to avoid. I would think they would want to avoid them because, stay in that 2nd seed. Yeah, so that way they don't have to deal with Detroit to the conference finals, supposing they want to avoid them. They know if they stay in that 3rd seed, what happens. You're going to see Detroit in the 2nd round. I don't think they want to see Detroit in round 2. But
Now you mentioned, you brought up Boston. I kind of was waiting to mention Boston a little later, but what do you think about their resurgence? Because most people have written Boston off this season based on all of the trades and Jason Tatum not being available. Supposedly, they say he might come back towards the end of the season, but most likely he probably won't. Especially that the Boston's playing so well right now. They're the second seed. And where do Joey, the Sicilian Mozilla, fits in Coach of the Year?
well, I mean, you got to put him in there. He probably won't win it, but I look at Boston like I look at Miami, teams like that. No matter who's out there, this is a culture. This is a foundation. You know, a organizational situation. A lot of teams, I wish teams had that. This is the kind of culture you see other teams trying to build, like Charlotte and shit like that. This is sustainability at its finest. You know, are they a championship threat? Probably not, but they have put themselves in a situation, and they made themselves attractive. They still compete, and they trade for Vucevic. They're not tanking. You know, they putting that team together for Tatum. You know, who I'm pretty sure they're gonna let Tatum rest. You know, that would be the safe bet. Even though they're looking good and possibly get to the postseason, do you just throw Tatum out? I wouldn't do it. I would just get ready for next year. So Tatum is 100%. You know, he tore an Achilles, ladies and gentlemen. So you don't want to bring him back, you know, rushed. So I think next season they're going to be a threat. That's why if you're New York, you got to do it now because I see Boston going to that number one seed next year. You know, I think they're going to make another move. You know, you already got Vooch. You know, there with Brown already proved that he can hold it down. You know, they very well could have the second seed. That's phenomenal if you Boston. You know, run to secure that when the dust settles. Like, damn. You know, they was thinking about letting people go. You know, they brought in Simons, they let him go. They made some moves and turned into Vooch. Vooch is a 2010 guy. And I'm telling you, he's gonna play big. He's gonna be that third probably all-star, you know, when Tatum come back. They got their center, and the center is like the center that they want. And if Vooch got a couple more years of some good shit. And it's good for him. I think he's gonna work out well with Boston. I look at the other people who departed Chicago, that whole situation. He may work out with the best success out of all of them.
Are you surprised that Boston is where they are right now?
Yes, like I said, I didn't anticipate them, you know, being here. I thought that they would be at the bottom, possibly 4 or 5, maybe even out the playoff picture. Yeah, you know, but surprisingly, I didn't think that they would be fighting for possibly the top seed in the East. I didn't see that.
Yeah, I didn't think Boston would be out the playoff picture, but I didn't think they would be this high up. I always felt that Boston probably be around, you know, high end, play in 7 or 6 or the 6 seed, you know, if they played real well. But to be a number 2 flag, I mean, that's crazy. With all of the transactions that happened up in Boston, and then the absence of their, uh, you know, air quote, best player in JT. That's incredible. Like you say, it's the culture. So it makes you want to play hard. It makes you want to win. And then you got the Peyton Pritchard dynamic that's up there that seemed to be in the shadows of Jaylen Brown. He's also one of the most valuable player candidates this year, Jaylen Brown. So that's incredible in itself. So you got the Eastern Conference, Detroit Pistons, Boston Celtics, New York Knicks, and Cleveland Cavaliers. Do you see anything below that possibly being a threat or a dark horse like a Toronto Raptors?
No, I think that these are exciting teams, but I don't think that they're gonna pose any threat to anybody. I think their first round knockouts, Toronto getting to the postseason, that's exciting enough for them. And build on that, you know, in terms of next year and shit like that. They made a lot of changes in Toronto. You know, they starting to resurrect their situation. this post Siakam and Van Vliet, these people, this is the new Raptors, and getting to the postseason. That first time they got Ingram, they're a playoff team, with Ingram, in my opinion. I think that they're gonna be a problem with him alone, but him alone is not enough. And Barnes is cool, but I think I'm RJ. I don't know about him. Quickly, he's cool, but these are just good players. At times they could be very good, but in terms of superstars, stars, no. But we shall see.
Yeah, the Toronto Raptors shot up to 6 God.
Six.
The boys, 6 God. The boys up north. They made a lot of transitions as well, like the Boston Celtics, shipping people in, shipping people out, cutting people, bringing people up from the G League, from the G League affiliates, and things of that nature. And surprisingly, the Toronto Raptors are the 5th seed. So if they continue what they're doing, they're going to get a playoff bid. They won't host the playoff unless Cleveland falls off, and I don't see that happening. Unless New York falls off, I definitely don't see that happening. Boston's not going to fall off, and we already know what Detroit's up to. So they might be stuck in the mire at the 5th seed, which is kind of detrimental because I just believe the Cleveland Cavaliers probably wiped them 4-1 at best. Sweep. But nevertheless, all of the different talks about the Toronto Raptors seem to simmer to a murmur because they're playing some very, very satisfying basketball. And what a lot of pundits and purists like to see is teams fight, make transition to move up to ascend in the rankings, not descend or tank. And the Toronto Raptors is one of those teams that are doing that. And we also look over the landscape. Atlanta Hawks is hanging on by the thread, man. They got rid of Trae Young, and they're still trying to get them a playing tournament situation. So they're trying to get past 82 games as well. And I appreciate that because they had a lot of stuff going on in Atlanta, and that caused the departure of Trae Young. But these cats under Snyder direction is playing some pretty good basketball as well, and they're hanging on by the thread. And like Flight said earlier, the Charlotte Hornets and Atlanta Hawks might get in by default because other teams are not trying to compete as hard as Charlotte and Atlanta. And the Hornets was kind of in that basket of not competing really. We saw a lot of strange things happening, and we saw NBA players uniquely calling out the Charlotte Hornets. Why do you care about the Charlotte Hornets, right? As an NBA player, calling out the Charlotte Hornets, saying that they're purposefully tanking and they're putting Lamelo Ball in odd situations where they're not successful. And so when certain people like Draymond Green speaks on it, Adam Silver's going to look into it because that's one of Adam Silver's boys, Draymond Green. So when he spoke on Charlotte Hornets could possibly be tanking the way they're playing LaMelo, then all of a sudden the switch turned on. I don't know if they got that. Jeff, what the hell are you guys doing down there? Don't let me find out y'all on some bullshit. Remember that last time I went to Charlotte? I sat in the seats and I talked to Gabe and company. Yes, they promised me they wouldn't tank. They promised me they would try to elevate the team. They bought the team for $3 billion. So you're not going to tank. Because if you do, I'm going to fine your ass. Okay, that's your word. Your word is bond. Bond is life. So, Jeff, I'm going to hold you to that. The call from Adam Silver. Next thing you know, they turned the whole thing around. Charlotte got some kind of a mysterious spark. And the last 10 games, they have the best record in basketball. And we know the NBA barometer is 10 games increments, how they measure the ups and downs of a team as they flow through the season of 82 games in 10-game increments. So that'd be 8 times you're able to dice up your team to do some kind of inspection and look thoroughly into it and see what's going on, what is needed, what is not needed, who you move up in the roster, who you take off the roster, and et cetera, et cetera. You make your adjustments. So the Charlotte Hornets is the hottest team in basketball, co-piloted by the Cleveland Cavaliers, who are also 9-1. Can you imagine 9-1? You're 9-1, and you're hanging on to the 9th seed in the Eastern Conference. Cleveland Cavaliers made adjustments, made some transitions. They are 9-1. Cleveland Cavaliers and the Charlotte Hornets are the hottest teams in basketball from both conferences. Best record, 9-1 in the last 10 games. Somebody got a phone call. Who wants that fine for the Utah Jazz? Who wants that fine that was handed down to the Indiana Pacers? Why, right? It's a gratuitous act to just tank on purpose. Hopefully you can get a lottery ball that's beneficial to your team. And it's still no guarantee that you will get it. You have the higher percentage, but it's no guarantee that you'll get it. So as we go down to the second half of basketball, we already know that OKC is leading the Western Conference. San Antonio is in second. And then you got the Denver Nuggets is in third. Despite the absence of Jokic for an extended period of time this season, the Denver Nuggets still hold on to the third seed in the Western Conference. And followed by Houston, the Lakers. Sometimes you got Austin Reeves. Sometimes you got Luka Doncic. And they're still in a very good position. But the Lakers are the 5th seed, and the Rockets are the 4th seed. And I think the Lakers can overtake the Rockets. So I don't, they'll probably switch as the season go on, 4-5, 3-5. You know what I'm saying? But I just think Oklahoma City is running away with that. San Antonio is right behind them. So they'll probably maintain the 1 and 2 seed for the duration of this last leg of basketball as everybody is limping to the finish line. And this All-Star break was much needed. Dunk contest, somewhat exciting. That 3-point shooting. Did I tell Flight that Damian Lillard is going to win? I said if I was to bet, I put my money on Damian Lillard. And if you put your money on Damian Lillard, you'd have got a hefty bag. Because a lot of people thought Con Knipple had a great chance at winning. And Devin Booker. And Damian Lillard pulled it off. Game time. 3-time 3-point champion. I think, do we tie Larry Bird for that? I think it's Larry Bird that was 3-time champion. But that was exciting to see him come back to shoot that. I think he got a little gimpy and kind of slightly, I think he might have hurt himself a little bit, if I'm not mistaken, or got some type of tendonitis or some swelling or something to that nature. But it might not be serious, but anyway. Damian Lillard showed out. And what about the Rising Star Challenge? That was good as well to see them young players out there competing the way they're competing. And hitting them game-winning shots. The Harpers of the world. That was exciting. Harper hit it over his big brother, Ron Harper Jr. Dana Harper hit his shot over his big brother. Man, that's crazy, right? In a situation like that, in a high-profile game, nationally televised, your brother's guarding you as seconds wind down. It's almost like they took it back to their backyard. That was good. That was good storyline. And then you had Ron Harper come on and speak about it with his two sons. So that was heartfelt to see he had two sons to make it to the NBA, even though Dana Harper is a more popular player. So you got the bottom portion of the Western Conference: Clippers, Portland, Golden State, Phoenix. Not particularly in that order, but the actual order: Phoenix 7, Golden State 8, Portland 9, and the Clippers are the 10th seed. Now that's surprising. Clippers are 10th seed. I'm not surprised at Golden State, because Golden State just been hanging on ever since they won that championship. They've just been hanging on. And shout out to Steve Kerr for keeping those guys motivated. And even though he lost two spectacular coaches, and Coach Brown and Coach Atkinson, Steve Kerr still got them on the sideline. They're still competitive, and they just will not die. Golden State was known as the hegemony of sovereignty at one point. They dominated the 2010s, right? So it garnered them the moniker, the hegemony of sovereignty. Not so much now. Nobody's really dominating the NBA right now. There hasn't been a back-to-back champion since the Golden State Warriors. Many have tried, and many have failed. So you got Phoenix Suns, you got Golden State, you got Portland, you got the Los Angeles Clippers. Like I said, I'm surprised that the Los Angeles Clippers is low as they are. Even though they had changes in Zubac, Norman Powell, and James Harden so recently, I still thought the Clippers would be, high end, play-in seed, 7 seed, low end, playoff team, 6 seed. But that's not the case. Portland. Me and Flight discussed Portland earlier. And the Portland Trailblazers, how surprising is that? Ooh. How surprised is the Portland Trailblazers? They got a cornucopia of talent over there in Portland, and they're fighting tooth and nail to play 83 games. How exciting is the Portland Trailblazers, man? That is mad crazy that the Portland Trailblazers is in the thicket of the landscape. Alley wishes come out them bushes. But the more surprising team, as we continue to elaborate on, is the Charlotte Hornets. Everybody had them for dead. At least Portland was fighting from day one. Everybody had Charlotte Hornets for dead. They started out pretty good, had a statement win against the Houston Rockets on the road, came back for like 18 points down. And there was a lot of chirping going on in the hive. Well, maybe I should say buzzing. Chirping for birds. This is an insect. There was a lot of buzz going on early on in the season when they got that statement win against the Houston Rockets on the road. Then all of a sudden, injuries start to befall the Hornets. Brandon Miller goes down. Lamelo Ball goes down. Again, all hell breaks loose. Trey Mann goes down. Grant Williams hadn't come back yet. Josh Green hadn't come back yet. Wasn't ready to come back. But once they got healthy, once the Charlotte Hornets got healthy, man, it's been curtains for the last 10 games. 9-1? Can you imagine that? 9-1. That's crazy for the Charlotte Hornets. Cleveland was just falling apart. They punted Lonzo Ball. They punted Lonzo on third down. They didn't wait for fourth down. They punted Lonzo Ball 3rd and 8. Not working. Experiments over. They got back James Harden, so it's not nothing bad. I mean, every time Lonzo get traded, I mean, an all-star or first team, first term ballot Hall of Famer comes. So you can't be ashamed of that. So they traded you for Anthony Davis, first ballot. They traded you for James Harden, first ballot. You can't be mad at that. Yeah, Garland got traded as well. He was part of that package. Garland and Lonzo have the same representation. They both clutch sports. So maybe they just didn't want clutch sports. Maybe they didn't want anything to do with clutch sports in Cleveland. Maybe they're like, you know what? We had enough with LeBron and all that. Yeah, we did draft Garland. He did ascend up under Bernie Bickerstaff Jr. And he continued to ascend under Kenny Atkinson, becoming the 2-time All-Star. But maybe it's something with clutch sports. They just didn't want nothing to do with it anymore. So Lonzo was collateral damage. That's the only thing I could think of. Since both of them represent the same agency, and Darius Garland was dissatisfied. And once he became dissatisfied, dissatisfaction brings about a change. So his dissatisfaction kind of got him disenfranchised from the franchise. And so a move had to be made. So when Harden became available, genie out the bottom. Let's make it. Kick rocks. So as we wind down, let's keep in mind that we're witnessing history in the makings with the Charlotte Hornets, because Brandon Miller, in his ascension, when there was dissension in him coming to Charlotte and being a part of the Hornets organization, now he goes down in legacy mode because he tied Kemba Walker for the most consecutive free throws in Charlotte Hornets history. And his next free throw, he will break that record. And I think he will. Because he's so calm and composed at the free throw line, it just seemed like he's throwing penny into a geyser. Can't miss. So there's a lot on the line to keep up the competitiveness in these young players. Continental with the rookie all-time with 3 points. He closing in on that. I forgot who got that record. There's somebody surprising who got that record. It's not Steph Curry. I forgot who got that record. Is it Scotty Barnes? No, it's not Scotty Barnes. But anyway, he's closing in on something. So when these young players have something to play for, it keeps their zeal at an all-time zenith, and it allows other players to come along. Because if these young players are going to fight, what are the veterans going to do? The veterans got to fight too, because they got to stay ahead of the young players. And so the young players is pushing these veterans to compete and not play. And I like that. And look at Copeland. I mean, hats off, right? Deb Peterson, I told you he's a boy wonder, a young genius. Copeland, what's that? University of Connecticut, I think. At one point, he had the record for rookies shooting percentage. I know he's a Dunkenstein, right? He's a dunk master. But he had the record for the highest shooting percentage for a rookie. So these guys are being very productive and they're contributing to the Charlotte Hornets' success. Oh, Creighton. That's right, Creighton, not Connecticut. Creighton. Thank you for correcting me, Anthony Jefferson. Salute to you, bro. Yeah, from Creighton. And so these guys are coming in contributing to the Charlotte Hornets' success, and they're not ashamed about it. And this has encouraged the Grant Williams of the world and the ultimate apparition, Josh Green, to show up and become more corporeal, more manifest in the physical. We're tired of Josh Green playing in another dimension that only he sees success in. We're glad to bring him back down to the third dimension. No more apparitional basketball, Josh Green. You got to stand up and be accounted for. And so far during this run, the Charlotte Hornets been the hottest team in basketball. He has been a contributor. His defense have even increased. Josh Green. He is putting his chest on the opponent's chest. And he's doing it not passively, but aggressively. And I like that, especially from a light skin. I like that. Show your worth. Show you belong. Show you're not washed. Because a lot of the Hive was thinking, was thinking that Josh Green was washed. He said Continental motivated Miller. Yeah, because remember, Miller was out. Miller was out for a little bit, right? B. Millie was out, and he watched Nipple soar and ascend into the mouths of the Charlotte Hornets fan base. All you was hearing was Con, right? And then not only hearing Con, you start seeing his jersey in the seats. Lamelo, Con. Brandon Miller is the highest draftee in uniform for the Charlotte Hornets. Number 2. They never been past number 2, right? In the history of the Hornets. Oh, no. I take that back. I think Grandma Ma. I take that back. Grandma Ma was number 1 overall. But since Grandma Ma, they have never had a number 1 overall pick. Number 2 has been the highest. They had a few number 2 picks. But right now, Brandon Miller is the highest draftee in uniform. So priority goes to Brandon Miller. Not Nipple. Not even LaMelo Ball. It's Brandon Miller. They looked upon him as the future. Right? We know LaMelo Ball is a constant. We know Nipple will be a constant. But Nipple was drafted. What was he drafted? Number 5? 4 or 5, right? Brandon, number 2 overall, behind Wemby. If Wemby can remain healthy, he'll be the first ballot Hall of Famer. So there's nothing shame about that. Wemby Rookie of the Year, Brandon Miller, runner-up. Nothing shamed about that. So as Wemby career extends, Brandon Miller career will be highlighted. They go neck and neck. And that's in good company. So when you drafted with a unicorn, right? This is why LaMelo Ball draft is so highlighted, is because LaMelo Ball come in as a unicorn, even though they try to downplay his talent and his significance to a team. They try to downplay it, right? Everyone that came in that draft will be highlighted, especially if they're still in the NBA. And a lot of them are in the NBA. And a lot of them are coming into their own now. They're coming into their maturation as an NBA player. So with the Wemby draft, and you had the kerfuffle between Brandon Miller and Scoot Henderson. Who's 2 or 3? Because Wemby was head and shoulders above them all, right? So by Wemby being head and shoulders above them all, the kerfuffle was between Brandon Miller and Scoot Henderson. So that gave the draft another turbulent story outside of Wemby. Wemby the unicorn. Wemby is the Ralph Sampson who could have been, right? So he's a story all unto himself. And then you had the underline, right below the bold italic, Wembenyama. Scoot Henderson, Brandon Miller. Brandon Miller, Scoot Henderson. And then Michael Jordan, of all people, arguably the GOAT of basketball, was a part of the mix. So you had Wembenyama's story, Scoot Henderson, Brandon Miller's story, and then you had Michael Jordan in the mix, and he requested 2 tryouts. Michael Jordan requested 2 tryouts to get a second look and to give each of those 2 individuals, Scoot and Brandon, a second chance to make a first impression. And Brandon won out. And as we can see, rightfully so, right? I was on the wrong side of history on that one. I was in aisle 7 when I should have been in aisle 6. Because I wanted the Thunder and Lightning with Lamelo Ball and Scoot Henderson. I thought it would be fantastic. Based on this, though, I got to give myself an opportunity to save face. Based on Kenny Atkinson being the coach. Remember, Kenny Atkinson was supposed to be the coach. It was already agreed upon. He would be the coach. And then he reneged. So, based on Kenny Atkinson being the coach, I'm thinking point guard whisperer. He would know how to manipulate Scoot and Lamelo. Lamelo can slide over and be comfortable sliding over because Scoot can take care of the ball and Scoot can be a threat going to the ring. Dennis Smith Jr., Colin Sexton. This ain't no Ish Smith thing. I mean, do y'all remember the debacle with Ish Smith in Theodore Maladon? Or Theo? He wants to be Theo because he's French. It's Theo Maladon, not Theo. Please call me Theo. I would really appreciate it. Bonjour. That failed experiment. So I would think that Scoot would come in and deliver. Wouldn't be. That's why they get paid the big bucks. I don't. Not in that field. They are the supreme thinkers. They are the supreme evaluators. And that's why you got Brandon Miller over Scoot Henderson to the dichotomy of the Hive and the Charlotte Hornets fan base. It was a divide, a massive divide, to the point where certain fraction of the Charlotte Hornets fan base booed B. Millie upon being drafted. They booed him. Because it was hardcore Scoop intervention. And a lot of us were short-sighted. Talk to me, that's why I said us, including me. Not him. A lot of us who were short-sighted didn't realize that Brandon Miller will be the type of player he is now because I've got to leave this. I left this one out. I also didn't want Lamelo to be surrounded by more controversy. The Miles Bridges controversy was at an apex, and then here you're bringing in more baggage outside of Montrezl Harrell situation. You're bringing another dark plume over the Charlotte Hornets Spectrum Center with Brandon Miller and his legal situation. But that was resolved, thankfully, and we moved forward. But so you had Miles Bridges, Montrezl Harrell, whispers about Terry Rozier, and Brandon Miller. So you just had a whole lot of stuff. The aura was just dark. It just was a very black plume hovering over the spectrum. And I just didn't want LaMelo to be a part of that. And LaMelo almost was stirred in some controversy based on something that he was told no. Couldn't prove what it was, but it looked very suspicious. So it was just too much going on right there. And that's why I was like, okay, a breath of fresh air would be Scoot Henderson. But I was wrong. And that's why I'm not an NBA talent evaluator. I'm just an NBA talent observer. And I admit, I was wrong with that. I mean, big time wrong. And I have no problem giving you a soliloquy about how wrong I was when it came to the comparison to fit alongside LaMelo Ball between Scoot Henderson and Brandon Miller. So, yeah, give me all the crow. I eat it. Give me all the crow. I was in aisle 6. I was in aisle 7. Should have been in aisle 6. I'm not ashamed of it because I had a logic to my madness. And the logic was it was just too much going on in the Charlotte Hornets corridor to add another element of controversy and sully the LaMelo Ball situation. And that was really, that was in my heart between the two. Because one thing about the two, Brandon Miller, you cannot teach height. Brandon Miller did play in the SEC, Alabama. That was the #1 team in the nation. Didn't have a good tournament run, but he still played at a high-profile basketball school that yielded Latrell Sprewell and what's that other kid name? Not Dan Pierre. What's that boy name? I can't think about it. It'll come to me. He was a dunker. He could dunk the hell out of ball. Dyson. Not Dyson. It just went through my head. Anybody in the chat might figure it out. But he was a high draft pick as well coming out of Alabama. And I'm trying to think, what team did he go to in the NBA? I know his name. It got a D in his name. I think it was Denver. Did he go to Denver? I think he went to Denver. I know his name started with it. It's a D in his name. But anyway, it'll come to me. That's what happens when you stay up late and you're old. You get that brain fog and it's all bad. I like to see me up here to expose myself like this. Oh, Antonio Dyson. That's who it was. Antonio Dyson. I knew it would come to. And then you had a few more coming to line. You had, like I said, Colin Sexton, Alabama. You had Kyra Lewis, Alabama. And you have some more. All of them don't come to me right now. That Roll Tide in basketball. So it was a fleet of players that could come out of Alabama that was significant in the NBA. So Brandon Miller coming out of that linen, that DNA, it wasn't shameful. But it's just that his situation that shrouded him coming into the NBA was very negative. And I just didn't want that around Lamelo. He already was dealing with too much stuff already. Like I said, Miles Bridges, his ace boom coon. He already got away from PJ Washington and his whole mongering self. Terry Rozier, all the things that he probably was involved in. You know what I'm saying? So it was just a mess, basically. And add one more element to that, I thought it was going to be a debacle, fiasco. But to my surprise, I was wrong, and I'm glad I was wrong. Because that's one thing about me. I don't fight to be right. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. And history shows that I was on the wrong side when it came to that comparison and that need for the Charlotte Hornets. So, it is what it is. But to carry on more in line of the stream, I want to thank everybody for their presence. Please hit that like button. Hit the subscribe button if you're yet to be subscribed. Hit the notification bell. See, y'all got to hit that notification bell because Flight surprised me at times. If I don't get a text from Flight, hell, I don't know when he go live. So that's why you hit that notification bell so you won't miss one iota of an exuberant experience. So right now, we can take a pause so you can hit that like button. Somebody said, "What'd you say, Rap God?" PJ with his baby mama drama. Yeah, exactly. That's funny. Yeah, so it was just a lot of stuff. Rap God, you've been around. Big Al, shout out to Big Al. Big Al, why you didn't want to come up, bro? How you think about your Hornets? Oh, see, he want to talk about Charles Lee. See, this cat always want to try to promote Charles Lee. Big Al, come up and talk about Charles Lee, man. Because you know me, I only have a few good things to say about bro. And I think, see what I think about the thing about the Charlotte Hornets is that concern Charles Lee. He has a system. He tries to implement it. He have young players and veteran players that are not that confrontational, right? So he can implement that kind of a system. And it looks like anyone who's being confrontational to Charles Lee is being removed from the organization. So it seems like they really buying into Charles Lee. And I don't have a problem with that. But I just believe that the team got together, despite who's voice on the sideline, and decided they want to win. They don't want to pack it up. They don't want to go to Cancun in June. They want to be playing basketball. They don't want no early vacation. And so they got a couple of wins, a couple of tough losses. And like Brandon Miller said, hey, man, we're pretty good. We can do this. I didn't remember Brandon Miller saying anything about Charles Lee, buying into Charles Lee system. It was more so the camaraderie of the team and the wherewithal to the Eastern Conference being weak, especially at the bottom, that they started off horrifically and still have an opportunity to make the play-in if they can string along some wins. And I think they got surprised. I think the Charlotte Hornets surprised themselves and strung along more wins than they expected because they went almost a month without losing. I don't know. That's a long time. And if you don't have that kind of culture to back you up and give you structure during that tenuous ride of extreme effort to be able to win in the NBA for practically a month, then it would never happen. And I just believe that the same voice Charles Lee had when the Hornets was in the dungeon and out of the playoff picture last season, I'm talking last season, not this season, last season, out of the playoff picture, mathematically eliminated, is the same voice practically. Maybe some changes, but overall, because it's a system, he didn't change the system overnight. Overall, it's the same voice to hear him tonight. That's why I just can't give him all the credit, Big Al. For you just want to give him all the credit because I guess you don't want to give no players no credit. Because if you give players credit, then you open up that can of worms when it comes to Lamelo Ball, and you don't want to do that, Big Al. You don't want to open up the can of worms where everybody coming down talking about the importance of Lamelo Ball. So instead of you using isolated players, you just give it to the coach. But I just feel that Charles Lee had some significance in this win season, in this winning streak, and being the hottest team in the NBA in the last 10 games. Only team to join them in that conversation is the Cleveland Cavaliers. Shout out to Big Al. Is the Cleveland Cavaliers. And the Cleveland Cavaliers are a team that is running for a championship. So for the Hornets to be in the company of a team that's running for the championship, that shows you their competitive mentality to move forward. Big Al, what you got?
Yeah, man. I just couldn't let you keep speaking ill of my takes for too long before I came up. So I thought I'd just come on up. You sound like you're about to wrap up, so I'm not gonna be too long. But I just had to dispel some of the stuff that you said. So I get it, man. I get it. LaMelo Ball, he was what, 2 or 3 decisions from dominating. You know what I'm saying? This dude is good, no question. But at the end of the day, though, I mean, with him doing what he's able to do, we can't sit here and say he didn't have issues, right? The foul trouble, the fouling, the going too fast when he needs to slow it down, the just being more serious at all times and have more of a situational take during the game, making sure he's making the right decision in certain situations. I think Charles Lee helped him with that, I think he helped everybody with that on the team. Charles Lee, he spoke about that when he started coaching the team. Situational basketball, making the right decision in the game when it matters, because the Hornets, they hadn't been in a winning situation, man. They needed to have a mindset that contributed to winning, Dex. And with Charles Lee and his takes and how he plays, or how he coaches, it allowed the players to develop their game and become what they are today, the system that he put in place. He talked about weight training. He talked about game, watching tape, which is a big. I would say, I ain't gonna say they didn't do that under other coaches, but I don't know if it was that serious. So I don't know. I mean, I think Charles Lee's system, when I say that, I'm referring to those factors, and not just the fact that the players needed to be motivated. So I had to dispel that. I don't know if fight's about the end of the.
No,
in
you
the
good. You good. No, you good. You good. You good. Take your time. Take your
but,
time, bro.
yeah, but I had to say that, man, because I know you're not too crazy about Charlie. I don't know why. He's a black man. He's I don't know. Is it because he didn't become the coach of the Lakers? I don't get it. I mean, because
Hell no. I want that dude
it
coaching the
was
Lakers.
him,
Are you kidding me?
it was him or Reddick, because Reddick won, interview for the Hornets team, Hornets job,
I didn't
and
want
then
Reddick either, but
who did you want? It was they were the two best
I
teams.
wanted a seasoned coach. You know, the Lakers need a seasoned coach. I know they did that before with Pat Riley, bring them out of the video room and things of that nature. But that was back then, though. And the Lakers had what? When Pat Riley became the coach, what they had 4 Hall of Famers? Or maybe
Okay,
more. They might have more, but I know for sure they had 4, right?
yeah.
And you can get away with that, but the Lakers don't have 4 Hall of Famers on their current roster. Not even last season. So
Well, I mean, Reddick came in at a good time, bro. He came in. He came. I mean, they got the king. Let's be honest. They had the king. What's the white boy? I
Austin
keep
Reeves,
forgetting this. Austin Reeves is a beast. He's good.
yeah, but he ain't no
Um,
Hall of Famer.
they had AD, but AD always hurt. So I mean, they had a good team. Uh, with AD, Bron, Austin
That's it.
Reeves,
AD and
the,
Braun was the Hall of Famers.
the Japanese Negro. I mean, come on, man.
Rui Hachimura.
Hachimura. Only thing they missing is a real center because AD needed a center beside him because he don't like all the all the
I
physicality.
mean, Darvin Ham did all right, but like I said, Darvin Ham was in over his head. I think to some degree, JJ Redick is in over his head, and we'll see when LeBron leaves. See, that's how you're going to know because I think LeBron is helped him coach that team. I don't care what nobody say. JJ Redick is just not the lone wolf on that sideline. I think LeBron James have a lot to do with help shaping and structuring the Lakers sideline with a young JJ Redick because Lakers had some hotheads on that team.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, let's get back to your Charlotte Hornets because they're more attractive right now. The Lakers
Yeah.
are 5th seed. The Lakers in the 5th seed, and nobody see them going past the 2nd round. But the Charlotte Hornets is intriguing. We can talk about that because they're still a mystery and a question mark, no doubt. Now, Big Al, Charlotte Hornets. Do you know your Charlotte Hornets is one of the only teams? One of the only teams to have 4 starters averaging 18 or more points. At one time, they was all averaging 19 or more points, but it kind of went down a little bit. So they're averaging 18 points a game amongst 4 starters. The only person averaging that is Cole Brenner if he starts, or Diabate if he starts. 4.
Yeah, I was
This is
kind of
almost
aware
like
of that, man.
it's almost like
You
the
know,
82 Sixers or the 83 Sixers, 76ers.
okay, yeah. I mean, I know Brandon was a star. I've been telling y'all that, man. Brandon's good, man. Khan, I didn't expect the Khan to be as good as he is. He's so efficient and shooting. He can't but help be close to 20 points a game. And then we know Lamelo can put it up. And then we always talked about Miles before he got in legal trouble, how he almost was a fringe all-star. So these players and their skill set has culminated in what we have right now because we had LaMelo bubbling over for a while, but he's been injured so damn much it didn't matter. And then we got Miles Bridges on the fringe of being an all-star. But the legal trouble is what got him in trouble, and sort of stopped his progress. And then we knew Brandon could turn it up. The only thing, we just needed these guys to be motivated. So this speaks somewhat to your hatred of Charles Lee. I'm okay. I'm gonna put words in your mouth because I know you say I do that. No, so this speaks to your your take on Charles Lee. All these guys we got, Brandon, LaMelo, Miles, we knew he had talent, just injury prone for the most part. And then when Khan came along and, showed that he was skilled enough to take it off the dribble, to score at all three levels, yeah, you got what we got right now. The only thing we're really missing was a center. And Diabate, because of his hustle, is making up for that. But, if we had a better center, no hatred on Diabate because he's good, but I'm questioning his effectiveness when it's Embiid or Jokic there, But, he's good for right now. And I think he can keep getting, keep doing what he's doing and making a big difference. And we'll see how far that takes us in the playoffs or in the play-in or whatever we end up being. So,
Yeah, I just think that's fantastic that the Charlotte Hornets, despite where they are in the standings, in the lower portion of the Eastern Conference postseason competition, Brandon Miller is leading the team in scoring. And I've heard a lot of Hornets content creators speak about Brandon Miller becoming their lead scorer. And they prefer that Brandon Miller be the lead scorer over LaMelo Ball. How do you feel about that?
okay, I'm glad you asked me. I was about to interrupt you. So listen, I've already talked to you about this, Dex, but you don't like my takes. You be hating on my takes all the goddamn time. But I'm just telling you, man. I said this a long time ago. I feel like Brandon Miller, because of his ability to accept structure and his ability to run on, do his things on structured play, along with Khan, I think he should be the guy that gets all the looks in the beginning of the game, man. I think that's what, because it throws the defense off, because it tires them down, and it gets them. They got to chase after him and chase after Khan, and that's slowing them down. It seems already a run and gun team because LaMelo loves to do that. So we got them doing half court play, and literally Brandon, they're running, plays for Brandon, and Brandon's not selfish. Let's be honest. Kyle ain't selfish either. These guys pass the ball just like, not just as good as LaMelo. I believe Melo's the best passer in the league. But my point is they're not selfish. So if the system is the player set for them, Khan or Brandon Miller, if they don't have a good shot, I think they'll pass it. Unlike a lot of guys that's been in the shot.
Brandon really not passing anything.
What?
Yeah, Brandon really don't pass that often.
Okay, bro. Brandon Miller he passes.
Brandon's mindset is to attack and to score. He don't have the mindset to set up anybody or to be a playmaker. You follow what I'm saying? Especially during this run.
I don't really agree because I feel like he does pass. That's the linchpin, or that's the character or personality of his team. They pass for good shots. That's what they're doing now, Dex. And that's what's making them good.
That's the philosophy. But Brandon Miller really doesn't pass like that. I'm watching the game. And I know you're watching it as well, but when he gets the ball, he's looking to score. Only time he don't score if the defense is set up to the point where he kind of like, let's try another way. But if he got an inkling of light, he's putting that pill in the air. Khan is a different story. Khan is very methodical. Khan is very high IQ. So Khan don't have to score when he gets the ball. Khan can set up the offense. Khan can run an offense, it looks like. He just don't have the dribble skills. But he have the intellectual skills. If everybody's moving and all the parts are rotating properly, Khan can get the play done. LaMelo, it doesn't matter. If the play breaks down, LaMelo can add it. So that's what gives him the skill. But one thing you said about LaMelo, right? He's not as frantic as you want him to be. I think that is
Oh,
that that's misdirectional information because Lamelo's only averaging 3 turnovers a game. 3. So that's not a sign of somebody being frantic and unapologetic or overly flashy that he put his team in a detrimental situation. 3 turnovers a game? As many minutes is he out on the floor? I think Lamelo averages what? How many minutes is
excuse
Lamelo
me.
averaging?
Excuse me. Did you think I was
Like,
talking about Melo being bad this year, or having those same issues all this year? I've been talking about the
what?
past. I mean,
That's what I'm trying to explain to you. Even
Melo has
whatever
gotten
the
better.
past was, hold on. Whatever the past was, that was the past. We're talking about now during this portion of the Charlotte Hornets season in which they're making noise. And
Yeah,
this season, from the beginning to the end, Lamelo's only averaging 3 turnovers a game.
he's
And I
gotten
think
better. Dex.
that's what I've been trying to tell you. Thank you. I'm
But
glad
the
you
but
know
the
more
point
than
is though, but those same habits do show their ugly head at times. So let's not
3
say it
turnovers
doesn't
a game.
happen.
So you telling me
It
all these 3
happens.
turnovers at crucial times? That what you trying to tell me? Every turnover Lamelo got this. I mean, every his average is 3 turnovers. So those 3 turnovers that he's
Dex,
averaging
stop.
again at crucial times. Come on, be
Dex,
realistic.
stop trying to make me the enemy
He's the
number
bad
one
guy.
on this channel.
Yeah, you the
Stop
bad guy.
trying to make
You the bad guy
stop,
right now.
stop trying to make me public enemy number one on Flight's
Nigga,
channel.
you the op.
You always try to make me the op. Listen, Melo has gotten better. He's not as injured as he used to be. He's not as uh he doesn't get fouls as much as he used to be. He he slows the game down properly when he's in at the end of the game when it's crucial and it's really important. He plays good. He plays the passing lanes like he's always done that, but he's doing that better.
You sound like me.
Oh, what?
I said you starting to sound like me. I'm starting to hear the reflection of me. Because that's all I've been preaching is the passing lane.
But you're not. But you're not
I'm
talking about the
watching.
fact that some of these habits do show themselves at times, though.
Yeah, it does.
But you need to point that out.
Name a perfect basketball player.
It's not about being perfect. It's just about because some of those habits are really bad. That's all I'm saying.
I disagree. That's what I'm saying. I disagree. I know he might be a little risky or risque. You know, if we want to make it a little more interesting, he might be a little risque, but he's not doing anything to traumatize the coach or to put his team in a detrimental situation. I just think he might be over traumatized and this causing you to to be dramatic when it comes to LaMelo Ball. There's something there that traumatizes you when that name is spoken. I don't know what it is. But LaMelo's only averaging 2.5 fouls a game. He averaging 3 turnovers. He averaging less fouls than turnovers.
But Dex, I'm not focused. Okay. I don't have any issues with Melo Ball. I don't have any issues with him personally. I love watching him play. I'm very impressed by his style. I mean, he's good, no question. My problem is when he does the stupid, some of the things that I've seen.
But you make it sound like he does that all the freaking time. It's just that you're triggered. Like when you do something.
I guess we need to have a heart to heart on this damn channel because you are just really, making
I think he's overly dramatic when it comes to LaMelo. Because you make
I'm
it seem
not,
like he does way too much, and I'm trying to show you statistically that is not the case. Now, he might have done it a few times, and it might have irritated you, and you just keep regurgitating that. You follow what I'm saying? But it's not, he doesn't do that all the time. I mean, that's one of the fewest turnovers for a point guard in the Eastern Conference.
He
3.
doesn't do. Hold on. He doesn't do what all the time. I mean,
Do 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 gratuitous shit. Gratuitous shit means unnecessary.
tell
You
me
also
what
like,
he's
man, why
done
you do
wrong in
that?
the past. Tell me
You understand
anything
what I'm
he's
saying?
done wrong in the past, Dex. I don't think you can tell me anything he's done wrong. I think you have rose-colored glasses on when it comes to LaMelo.
No, see, that's what I'm saying. You traumatized and you triggered, and I'm trying to bring you
You
back
tell
to reality
okay.
and give you some
Name.
and allow you to
Tell me.
display some critical observation, and you're
Give me
not
some
doing that.
objective. Give me some objective thoughts on some things he's done wrong in the past that he's improved because he has improved.
Now, the things that Lamelo have done wrong to me in the past is his shot selection. I was never a
That's it.
fan of Lamelo in the past shot selection. I thought sometimes he shot it too early, and that's only because of the structure of the team. The structure of the team in his early tenure was more slow than fast, even though they played fast because Lamelo pushed the pace, and you had Miles Bridges along with him, and you had Jalen. What's that kid name? They traded him to Philly. The slim kid, 6'9". His brother playing in the league as well, but I think from Minnesota.
What team again?
Jalen McDaniels.
Okay, yeah.
So you had those runners. Even Bismack Biyombo was a runner in LaMelo's early tenure. So when those guys got on the court, they pushed the pace. But when Devontae Graham and Terry Rozier and Gordon Hayward was on the court, the pace was more slower and methodical. So now that those guys are no longer a part of the conversation, LaMelo still played the way he played. It's just that the team around him have yet to catch up. Now, Brandon is starting to catch up. Miles is starting to resurge again as being one of those gazelles on the outside lane like he was when he was 2 or 3 years in the league. He's starting to get that back now, that kind of pace back. So you got Brandon Miller, you got Miles Bridges, and you got Musa. So you got 3 gazelles. It's hard to keep those horses riding. It's very difficult because their nature is to get out and run. That's their advantage because Brandon is slim, Diabate is slim, and Miles Bridges just doesn't have an overall game to survive in a half court, really. So their nature was just to get out there and run and get easy buckets and punish you with dunks, high-flying dunks. Diabate, high-flying dunker. Miller, high-flying dunker. Miles Bridges, we already know, high-flyer dunker. So now they're starting to assimilate. And while they're assimilating to this fast pace, other teams are starting to crumble right before their eyes because fatigue sets in. Now they're rushing shots, they're off their concentration because every team don't run. Now the teams that do run, those teams are mostly successful, like the OKCs of the world, right? Like the Detroit Pistons of the world, right? So a lot of teams that run, they're on the top of their conference. And here's the Charlotte Hornets is allowing them to run more often because when you run, it ain't much coaching you can do, right? If you're running up and down the court, there ain't much coaching you can do. Only thing you're looking for is who the hell is tired.
Right. And that's why I feel like what you're saying is awesome because when a matured Melo, which we're seeing now, a maturated Melo is dangerous, bro. Because he can run up and down the court, make those pinpoint passes, those pinpoint alley-oops, but he also can work with the methodical style right now. He can handle the half court setup that Charles Lee has incorporated into the system of the team right now. So they can run and they can do the half court. That's dangerous. That's when you get into deep playoff run, possibly territory, where you can do all of that. And you're playing defense.
Exactly. And you said about the Lamelo defensive play. And this is what I disagree with Charles Lee. I went back and watched some old games, right? So I said, let me see what the defensive philosophy was for some of these championship coaches. And one of the teams I watched was the Lakers. One of the teams I watched was the Detroit Pistons, right? One of the teams I watched was Chicago Bulls. And I noticed that during crunch time, and even past crunch, or deep into crunch, not past, but deep, because you can't pass crunch time. But in crunch time and deep into crunch time, the starters was on the floor, regardless of their flaw. Oh, also Cleveland Cavaliers. Yeah, I watched them extensively. And the Craig Elos, the Mark Price, the Larry Nance, the Brad Dohertys, and the Ron Harpers. Right? We know Ron Harper was a defensive specialist. Craig Elo was serviceable, but Mark Price wasn't really an on-ball defender. Mark Price was kind of a pest. But even though they was on the court, right? Magic Johnson wasn't a hell of a defender. Now we know Michael Cooper was, A.C. Green was, and Byron Scott was. But Magic wasn't no hell of a defender. You could run past Magic. Most guards could run past Magic. Kevin Johnson used to eat Magic alive. Even Doc Rivers used to eat Magic alive. So, but Magic was on the court. Mark Price was on the court. We watched the Detroit Pistons. Isaiah Thomas is on the court. Isaiah Thomas ain't guarding nobody like that off the dribble. Joe Dumars, yes. Benny Johnson, yes. But Dennis Rodman, yes. Most definitely Dennis Rodman. But Isaiah Thomas ain't just locking nobody down. But guess what? His ass is on the floor. You taking Isaiah out and putting in Brad Sellers or somebody like that for Isaiah Thomas for defensive purposes, in and out switch, Isaiah would have probably slapped the shit out of the coach. You understand what I'm saying? So I was looking at that. So I said, I don't really justify that when LaMelo Ball is averaging over a steal a game and averaging 0.2 block shots a game. 6, 7, 6, 8, right? So how do you justify taking that length out and putting in a shorter guard?
So you don't like the Charles Lee switch of Zion James into the game over LaMelo.
Like I told you before,
I don't know, man, because you peep what these other teams do when they play us though.
That doesn't matter that you.
But hold up, because
it's not gonna work in the long run. Because a lot of times you beat the teams not because of the switch, because the teams that probably missed a shot. It's not because of that switch, because that person that came in for Melo wasn't the stopper.
But to your point though, it won't help if Melo has issues with fouls. You know.
Here you go with that again.
I'm just saying this. Look,
fake news.
It ain't fake news, though.
Listen, LaMelo has fouled out a couple of games, right? A couple of games this season. But I just gave you a statistic that he's only averaging 2.6 fouls a game, less than 3 fouls a game for the duration of the season. He's not a foul problem.
All right,
but if we keep listening to somebody tell us, oh, he's a foul problem, and we don't do the research, we're gonna believe it. Because what you hear often you're gonna believe, right?
Yeah.
And so if they keep using that narrative that LaMelo's a foul problem, then we go back and do the research and find out that he's really not a foul problem, then why they're promoting that narrative? And why is Charles?
I don't think nobody says that. I think I'm about the only person. I don't think nobody really says that. I think I'm about the only person that sort of points that out. But we see Charles Lee making moves during the game that would suggest he sees that sometimes it's been an issue.
Somebody said this is a new era. It doesn't matter if it's a new era. It's a coaching era. not just a new era, it's a coaching era, because you take away the player's rhythm in the game. You take away that heighten of intensity and that heighten of suspicion. You remove that when you take them in and out of the game. And now you put him in the game for offensive purposes, and now you want him to hit the game-winning shot. And he might not do it. He might not make it.
So you feel like his rhythm is off during the end of the game when he just takes. Well, I mean, he's only switching them out because when he switches them out, it seems from what I've noticed, he does with these other coaches that that's really good. When it's a timeout, he puts them in, and then he times out and puts them in for offense.
That's if you got Ish Smith as your starting guard, and you got Zion James as your bench player. You can switch that out. Colin Saxon as your bench player, you can switch it out. You understand what I'm saying? But when you got a person that's 6'7", 6'8", averaging 2 steals a game and averaging 0.2 block shots a game,
but then
where's the defensive liability at? And only averaging 2.6 fouls a game. Where is the defensive liability at? That's the only thing I'm curious about. That they keep promoting that he's such a defensive liability, because why else would you take him out?
Well, all right, man. We'll see how it goes because it's like you're not watching how Lamelo is. Let's be honest, man. Sometimes he's like Harden. He's that turnstile sometimes on defense. Let's be honest. So I need and Lamelo, he's a little light in the pants too. So on defense.
Not light in the pants in the NBA. Majority of the players in the NBA are light in the pants.
You're right about that. But Zion James not know.
But Zion James don't have the length, and he don't cover as much room as Lamelo. Maybe he got the lower center of gravity, yes. But a lot of times, see, this is another thing I wanted to mention to you, Big Al. A lot of times the switch to me is unnecessary because the person that is going to make you regret is not the person they're switching Lamelo out for. Say, for instance, they're playing Orlando. He's going to switch Lamelo out regardless, right? But it's Paolo is the threat on that team, right? He the one's going to most likely get the last second shot. Not Suggs. You feel me? But they're going to still switch Lamelo out.
Well, Mo Hunted, he making some good points, man. How many buggers are you giving up? That's what I'm saying, man. I want LaMelo to be in there, man, but he hadn't shown me enough to really negate what Charles Lee is doing. I'm not saying you're wrong, but I think Melo, with the foul trouble, he lives to what Charles Lee is doing.
How you repeat that? See how you regret
Listen, I'm not saying. Okay. I'm not. I'll correct it.
Now, if you say it like this, hold up.
Let me say it a different way.
If LaMelo's in foul trouble, okay, I understand. You're right. Yeah, if he's in foul trouble.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I mean. Okay. If LaMelo is in foul trouble.
Got you.
He did the same thing with Brandon Miller. But Brandon Miller, for some reason, because Brandon Miller, one time I've noticed, has been in five fouls, foul trouble in one game. You know what he did? He stepped back totally. He acted like he had defensive awareness to say, you know what, I have 5 fouls. I got to watch it because they need me on offense. But he didn't just become a turnstile. He just really was aware of what he was doing with his hands. But Melo, man, sometimes he do. I'm sorry, bro. I gotta say, he do dumb shit. I mean, like, what the fuck are you doing, dog?
We understand that.
Hitting the ball and shit. That's frustrating.
That's not a valid reason. That's just an excuse. Now we see a lot of players in the NBA do dumb shit. If you watch a lot of NBA games, you're going to see that throughout the course of the NBA season. So LaMelo's not abnormal when it comes to that. He's not an aberration. He's just a part of the game when it comes to doing dumb shit on the floor. But I agree with you. If LaMelo's in foul trouble, you have to take him out because you can't afford to get him eliminated when you still have an opportunity to win the game. I understand that. But he does it when LaMelo only have 2 fouls. Like the other day, he done it when LaMelo only had 2 fouls. LaMelo had 2 fouls for the whole game. And he still switched him out. I almost lost it. If I had any hair to pull, I would have did it. But I didn't have no hair to pull.
You talking about the game against the Hawks, right?
I think that's who the game might have been. I
Okay.
think that's who it might have been. And I was like,
Well, it may be because we was up, and also Melo. I don't know, man. I gotta be
This
careful
can't
because
get to it.
you making me out to be the enemy, dog. And I don't want to be the enemy on the channel. I'm just giving you my objective observation of the Melo.
No, you good. This
And
team
at the
can't
end of
get
the
zeroed
day,
out. If LaMelo
what?
don't be in foul trouble and the game is in the balance, that he switched him out for defense offense. I just think he just want me. I think it was an egotistical thing. I think it's more recognition. If we win the game and I'm doing a switch out, I can receive credit. You understand what I'm saying? Because I did something that most coaches wouldn't do, and that is to take a star player out with height, and not in foul trouble because I'm a genius. I can see it before it happens.
So Charles Lee is only taking Melo out. In your opinion, Charles Lee is only taking Melo out because his ego is dictating him to do so.
I think that's a high possibility. I'm not saying it's a fact, but I'm saying it's a high possibility because I don't see no other logic to do it unless he's in foul trouble. You have to do it. But if you're not in foul trouble, like I said, I just told you, I looked at some of these games in the past where they were in playoff mode and the coaches never took their player out, regardless of fouls or nothing. They didn't take them out.
Hold on. What team? Hold on. I'm trying to follow you. Who are you talking about? The Hornets or another playoff team?
No, another playoff team. Another playoff team.
What team?
I was doing my research because I knew
What team?
Like I said, I'm going to use Cleveland. But I watched the Bulls, I watched the Lakers, I watched Detroit.
Okay.
I watched.
You say, hold on, time out.
Boston had all good defenders, so Boston really didn't count.
Yeah, that don't count. That don't count. Detroit got pretty good defenders.
Lakers had some suspect defenders. Bulls had some suspect defenders.
Cleveland only got one guy that was suspect, and that was Garland.
No, not this Cleveland. I'm talking about Cleveland of old, when they had those good teams. When I named the team, I said Brad Daugherty, Larry Nance, Ron Harper, Craig Elo, Mark Price. All those are high-profile names, especially back in the latter days.
But can you really count old school ball? Because they can hand check back then. So the non-defenders can get away.
It didn't matter.
Okay.
People still running past Isaiah Thomas. People still running past Mark Price. People still running past Magic Johnson.
But they also hard foul too, Dex. They can also hard foul a lot more too. That was part of the game back then. That was actually part of the game.
But my point was this: they was at risk of being eliminated, and they stayed in the game. In some series, they wasn't even at risk of being eliminated, and they still stayed in the game. So if LaMelo's at risk, we saying, yeah, take him out. Okay, we agree, take him out, no problem. But if he's not at risk, why are you taking a 6'7", 6'8" guard out with wingspan that disrupt passing lanes? That I don't know. And the person you taking them out for is not the threat. You take LaMelo Ball out, the person he's guarding is not the threat. Sometimes the threat is from the forward. Sometimes the threat is from the center. Sometimes the threat is from the 2 guard. You follow what I'm saying? It's not always the point guard. And most times it's not the point guard. That's the only thing I'm saying. They could be playing Utah Jazz and he's taking LaMelo out. He's switching them out for defensive purposes. And Utah's not even trying to win. Come on, man. Stop it.
Well, I also know some other things. Again, I don't want to be the bad guy.
Jay always say this. Jay always come talk about LaMelo on the minute restriction.
He,
If you
he
on a minute restriction,
was.
Jay,
I
no,
forgot
listen,
about that.
hold on.
Thanks
Let me
for
debunk
reminding
that.
us, Jay Jonah.
Let me debunk that.
I forgot about
Now,
that.
he's on a minute restriction. Hold on, you go after me. Let me go first, so you can come after me. You can deconstruct whatever I'm trying to construct, because I got to
Yeah, I
debunk.
will too.
If you are on a minute restriction, your minute restriction shouldn't come at the jest of a game in the balance. Your minutes should be calculated during the course of the game, so you are available towards the end. You don't use minute restriction as a reason or unnecessary excuse to take a player of his stature out of the game. The minute restriction is supposed to be during the course of the game, so this player could be available at the end of the game. And I remember Charles Lee even saying this out of his own mouth. Yeah, Lamelo's on a minute restriction, so he could be available towards the end of the games. Okay, he's available. He's in good position. He's not in foul trouble, but yet you making him unavailable because you want to switch him out. That's the only problem I have with that, Jeff.
Yeah. Okay. Man, okay.
Yep,
The
I agree,
minutes
Jay. I
restriction.
agree.
Yeah, the minutes restriction is a part of it, Jay Jonah. Thank you for reminding us or me, because I sort of forgot about that element. But at the end of the day, though, Jay Jonah, I'm not saying you're wrong, because his defense has improved. He does demonstrate it at times. But let's be honest, his defense. Okay, out of the starting five, his is the worst. I'll be honest, because he will hit at people uh unscriptedly all the time. I mean, I don't understand why he's like hitting him at the ball a lot of times. He's doing that a lot. But I mean, his defense has improved, so I'll fall back. And the minutes restriction is a thing, but also I do think sometimes Charles Lee likes the combination of Zion James with the other starters in place of Melo because he does play good defense. He is physical. That wears the other player out. I mean, he has results, Dex. When he's playing these guys on defense, from 1 to 5, guys are missing shots because of Zion James. We have seen it. So Charles Lee is making a systematic decision based on the results. So I mean, at the end of the day, what Melo is doing, how he's improved, is a big deal. But at times, at the end of the game, when we got close games, we just need that defensive push. I think that's probably what Charles Lee is trying to get at. And also, it's another thing with Melo. You mentioned it earlier. His shot selection. Dude will gun it if he feel like he can make a shot. He will gun it, whether it's a good shot or not. He don't give a fuck. He will shoot it. He will shoot it. And sometimes at the end of the game, that's not the best thing. So when he gets shot happy, sometimes that's what I think Charles Lee does too. He might take him out because of that. Because he's shot happy.
That's not an issue. That's not an issue. You know, I never brought that up. That's not an issue. I told you about it.
You don't think that's an issue?
No, I'm saying it's not an issue for me. I don't mind
okay.
when Lamelo gets too happy feet. I don't mind.
Okay, all right, yeah.
Slow him down a little bit. Get him back in check.
Yeah, I think this is a developing topic, or I guess not. I don't want to say issue because it's not really an issue. It's a developing decision with Charles Lee. I think eventually he will do what you're saying he should be doing, leaving Melo in more often. But Melo has to show with results that he won't be in foul trouble when it's a close game, a physical game. He can handle that and make good decisions, right? And when he's not making shots, taking better shots. I've seen people on the chat on your stream, on Flight Stream, that complain about Charles Lee not setting Melo up for shots. I disagree. Melo has been getting open shots a lot more this year than I've seen in the past. And I feel like that's helping this game. I think that's helping everybody because they're getting good shots, whether they're three or whatever. I mean, so I think it's developing Charles Lee. The Charles Lee is developing because he's seeing the things he needs to see to make a decision on as the game goes on. And as things get better for Melo and he makes better decisions, I think what you're saying will happen. He'll be in the game more.
Now, when it comes to minute restriction and Lamelo not starting, that's a coach's decision, right? Cool. I mean, that's an organizational thing, right? They gotta prize their possession. The only thing about that, if LaMelo's not starting, then he should be ending. If the minute restriction causes LaMelo not to start, then if he's eligible to finish, he needs to finish. Because why not start if you're not going to finish?
But Dex, what you're saying is, I mean, you're right. I think you're looking at it like he's really diminishing LaMelo's importance. But he's not. He's not. I feel like he's incorporating players at their strength because Melo, we know, is a beast offensively. When he's on, he's the best passer in the league. I mentioned that earlier. He can go off script whenever he wants to. I think he can get by mostly everybody. I hope what you said in one stream a couple games ago is not true, where he's lost a step. I don't think that's the case. I hope that's not the case. I think, but I think he can get it off when he wants. He can get off when he wants. But sometimes he might get happy, even if he missed, to keep shooting, which, that's the ball and mentality you should have. Ball is life mentality you should have. But sometimes in these game situations, you got to make better decisions. So I think Melo is getting better at that. But so at the end of the day, though, Charles Lee is maturing because he's a young coach. Just like Jake Jonas said, he's becoming a better coach. Melo is maturing because I feel like Charles Lee, I don't care how much you don't like his system, I feel like he's kept guys accountable, and that's a big deal in the NBA because these guys, got big heads and they need to be held accountable for their mistakes. And I think Charles Lee is doing that. And as things are getting and with the combination of talent he got and the decisions he's making as a coach, it's working. Then they got the speed. They got the young guys run up and down the court. Then we got the half court, system where they run the plays to set up Khan or Brandon, who, in my opinion, are good passers. They can set up Melo. When the plays go off script, Melo can Melo can set himself up and get a good shot off, or set somebody up for one. So I think everything works, Dex. And I think there's nowhere to go but up. As long as no one of these niggas don't get in a loss situation, knock on wood.
Yeah, I'm gonna let you end it on that about Charles Lee. So I'm gonna let you have final word on that. I'm not gonna come behind you. But what I do want to introduce is I thought that the Hornets would bounce back and show signs of heavy resilience once they lost that Detroit Piston game, which was a very tough game. Altercation broke out, the fracas we all witnessed, and the suspension came down, and they turned it around in the very next game and won. So that right there showed me signs of resilience that this team has the mental fortitude to take it into the postseason. What do you think about how the Hornets bounced back after the Detroit debacle?
Yeah, man, I was about to interrupt you again, man. I'm glad you brought that up because I was kind of impressed by that Detroit game, though, Dex. Because let's be honest, they lost two really important players, but they only lost by what? How much they lose by? 5 points? They didn't lose by much.
Right. They was down by 4 with the ball. They were down by
Okay.
4 with the ball. And then they
Yeah.
missed the shot. Cade Cunningham came back. And then, it was over from there. That was the closest they got. Was 4 points
Yeah.
with the ball.
Okay. And Dex, that's the best team in the league.
Best team in the league. That's right.
I mean, some probably will just say, hey, they're the best team in the East, but with the physicality and the fact that they're a young team, I kind of want to say they're the best team in the league. So the fact that they kept it close
Record-wise,
with
you're
the
right. I mean, record-wise, you're right. They're the best team. They got the best record overall.
okay, right,
They're the number
okay,
1 seed.
yeah, I didn't know
Number 1
that.
seed.
Yeah, I
they
didn't
passed
know.
OKC.
Okay, yeah, I wasn't aware of that. So, yeah, with the fact that they kept it close with Detroit, that says a lot. With losing Miles and Diabate, that says a whole hell of a lot. That this team, like you said, has resilience and can really keep it close with a lot of teams, and they can beat a lot of these good teams, which they have done.
And will continue to do.
Which we want them to continue to do, and I believe they can continue to do it. And we'll see how it turns out. But that Detroit game was to me a good because when Miles and Diabate left, I was convinced that we might see, possibly a blowout, but
Yep.
that was not the case.
And you never want to lose a game, right? You never want to lose a game, but
Right.
that was a good loss to me for the Charlotte Hornets because they played the best team in the Eastern Conference, right? And not only did they play the best team in the Eastern Conference, they played them according to their style. See, the Hornets didn't play according to the Hornets style. They played more to Detroit style, what Detroit accustomed to. And they survived the encounter. They survived the encounter. As Jay said, they were shorthanded, but they survived the encounter. So when they play against a team like the Atlanta Hawks, good defensive team too, but a little more finesse than Detroit, they was like, hey, wait a minute, he hit me, but I didn't fall. You know what I'm saying? Oh yeah, we can take this. And from that point, I like the way the mentality was for them to bounce back. But Detroit Pistons, as you say, the best team in basketball. They play a hard, gritty game. They can get out there and run because they have athletes. And who suffers the most, right? Who? Because Hornets lost 2 important players. Detroit lost 2 important players. Jalen Duren and Beef Stew, right? Isaiah Stewart. So who has the biggest loss here? Is it Charlotte with the suspensions or Detroit with the suspensions?
I think I want to say Charlotte, but I'm torn because Jalen Duren, he was an all-star, so he's a big deal. But I think it's Charlotte because Charlotte has to win a lot more games to really get where they want to be than Detroit. Detroit, I think they're head and shoulders above a lot of teams. So if they do lose with these suspensions, I don't think it's as much of a big deal for them as it is for us. And I think that with what you said, I also want to point out the fact that during the last stream after the Detroit game, you made a good point. The Hornets could have won that game. I'm sorry, I'm going back to what you said, what you talked about earlier.
It's okay.
But yeah, the Hornets could have won that game, but I think one guy, Rashad McCants from Gil's Arena, made a good point. It was a fucking distraction. The brawl was a damn distraction. And they could have won that game and kept that win streak going, man. But because of that distraction, they lost. I really think that's what happened. K, I don't think they would have won. I mean, I don't think the Detroit would have won if they didn't have the distraction. I think they could have won that game, bro. I really do.
So
So
who lost their heads? Did Charlotte lose their heads or Detroit lost their heads? Because according to the NBA official report, they said Jalen Duren initiated, but Diabate walked up to him, closed the gap. And
yeah,
the head
okay,
break.
yeah. Yeah, I'm glad you asked me that. That's another thing because I feel like Jalen Duren initiated the headbutt that people talked about. They want to say Diabate did. Now Diabate got in his face. He but in that we could have a discussion about personal space being violated. But Duren actually initiated the headbutt, from what I noticed. I mean, you can. I mean, I don't know what you saw, but I feel like that's what I saw. And once that happened, he also shoved his face. You know,
Yeah, he
so
smushed him. He definitely did that.
yeah, he smushed him. Yeah, when he
That's
smushed him,
disrespect. That's
yeah,
disrespect big time.
it was over.
The
Yeah,
headbutt, it could be accidental, you know what I mean? Because I was kind of leaning forward. I didn't mean to bump you like that. But the smush was like, nigga, fuck you.
yeah. You beneath me, basically. Yeah, when people smush, you trying to say you believe. Yeah, you can't do that, bro. That's them fighting words. But yeah, the Charlotte, Charlotte lost. Yeah, Charlotte lost their head. To answer your question, once that happened, they lost focus. All bets were off. I had a feeling they would lose, but they could have still won though. I just say that.
I'm gonna tell you this. I think Adam Silver was pretty light on both teams because
Yeah,
he only suspended the ones that was directly involved. He didn't suspend anybody come off the bench,
right.
and that's supposed to be an automatic suspension, right?
Yeah, because people were talking about Melo getting some games. I noticed.
Yeah, the Melo did come off that bench.
Yeah, he came off the bench. But
So
yeah,
Detroit,
right. So yeah, there was lean. I thought it was going to be a lot more games because what? His name not Maxill because Detroit usually have a player. You remember Jason Maxill? Stewart reminded me of Maxill.
Yeah, I remember
him. he reminded me of Maxill. I always try to say Maxill sometimes I refer to Isaiah Stewart. But no, Isaiah Stewart, he got what, 10 games?
7.
What was it? Oh, 7. Okay.
Yeah. 7.
And then Doran got the least by what, 2? And then Miles and Diabate got 4, right?
Right. And I don't think Diabate can afford 4 games. Miles probably can. But I don't know about Diabate. That probably hurt his little pocket. He on top. He on Roman noodles right now. He eating Roman noodles and sausage.
Melo should help one of them players on the team should help him out because you know they making bank. But
You think Lamelo gonna pay his fine because Lamelo making all the money?
Yeah, Melo making all the money. I don't know. I remember somebody asked Cade Cunningham if he's gonna pay Stewart's fine, and he said he laughed. He got quiet, and then he said, I think he said yeah. Well, yeah, he probably just said yeah for media purposes.
Right. Probably like, man, he didn't help me out. Shit.
Right. Yeah, I give them niggas some money.
Jalen's pay his fine.
Right. Yeah, let Taylor pay it. Damn it, fuck that nigga. But nah, I don't know. I mean, but yeah, that did hurt the body because he's only 6 figures, isn't he? Probably.
Yeah, he's low 6 figures too. I know that hurt his pocket, boy. I know his girl was like, man, what did you just do? Man, we on Roman noodles and Vienna sausage. And now we gotta crunch up Doritos or Fritos or whatever.
But yeah, Jay Jonah got a good point. He said, I'm glad the young team experienced that before the playoffs. Because that's the kind of intensity you got to be ready for. And you got to keep your head though. So I'm kind of glad too, Jay Jonah, because Because they got to be ready to kind of for those kind of situations when they come out. I mean, because you can't lose your head next time. Hopefully, Miles, if that comes up again, Miles don't start swinging on niggas, and their body don't swing on nobody. Hopefully, they keep their head because they are important. So and so hopefully this gets to them like you talking about, and they understand the importance of just staying on the court. So, but yeah.
Yeah, we're going to see the Hornets open up against the Houston Rockets. How if they start a new win streak. Right now they're 1-0. They win streak got snapped by Detroit, who has been a win streak snapper this season. But the Hornets bounced back, and that just showed character, and it showed the mental fortitude that they have moving forward. Because not only did they bounce back against a team that are snipping at their heels, and they bounced back against a team that they knew they had to beat. And that's one of the things that you have to really delve off into when it comes to observing the Hornets and expecting them, right? Because when you inspect the Hornets, you say, how do they respond? Okay? Did they exert too much energy against the Detroit Pistons and they don't have none for the Atlanta Hawks, and the Atlanta Hawks will come in and just rip them apart? No, that wasn't the case. It was a polar opposite. It was like they were so ready for Atlanta. That Atlanta came up from I-85 corridor, and the Charlotte Hornets shredded them. And it wasn't just any team. It was a team that's competing for a postseason spot. And the Charlotte Hornets shredded them, ripped them apart. That shows character. That shows that they was diligently focused, and they didn't allow what happened yesterday to affect them in the present. And they had what you call amnesia. I don't know if y'all familiar with that word, because you don't hear that term. It was a medical term, but you don't really hear it anymore. But they had amnesia. They forgot all about what happened in that Detroit game and went straight focused on Atlanta and just stung them to death with their stinger. And that shows you that this team is concentrated, calculated, and focused. They sniff an opportunity to be in the postseason. They can feel the energy of playing 83 games. And I think all of them are buying in, and they are firmly consolidated moving forward to try to get to the 83rd game. What'd you say, Big Al?
I would agree, Dex. These guys are focused, man. And they got an opportunity of a lifetime, man. Because this franchise has been in the catacombs for years. They have been the jokes of many, they have been the butt of many jokes. And for them to come together and do what they're doing right now, I believe is going to be history for this franchise. Well, it's already history. But I believe they all focused, and they finally see the light. So I hope it stays like that. I hope they continue to care. This I pray they continue to care, because they are a good team, man.
Yeah,
And they are a team. On top of that, they just not good players. They're a team, bro.
Yeah, they're showing that they're a good team. They're showing that they have a competitive spirit, and they're showing that they're willing to gnaw at the bone of winning through the gristle. I want to ask you this question, Big Al. I don't know how much attention you've been paying to the play-in scenario. So you got Orlando at the 7th seed, you got Miami at the 8th seed, Charlotte at the 9th seed, and Atlanta at the 10th seed. Now, if the postseason starts tomorrow, Charlotte will play Atlanta, and we think that Charlotte can beat Atlanta. So they will advance to play the loser out of Miami and Orlando. Now, if they get one of the Miami or Orlando, do you think they can win against one of those teams, Miami or Orlando, to get the 8th seed?
Oh, good question. I'm convinced they can beat Orlando. I'm not gonna say definitely, but I'm convinced they can beat Orlando because I don't think Orlando as a team is as motivated. They don't seem like they are as focused as they should be on defense like that. I don't know if you agree, but I think they can beat Orlando. Miami, I want. I can't. I want to see when the next time. When is the next time they play in the regular season? Because I don't think we've seen them play Miami with this with how they've been playing lately. I don't think we've seen Charlotte play Miami yet, if I'm not mistaken, during this streak. And so in Miami, they are a very structured team too, kind of, and they have grit too. They kind of have firepower, and then they have some really defensive focused guys. What's the guy named the little point guard that plays defense? They call him Off Day.
For Miami?
For Miami. I'm referring to he plays good defense.
I don't know what the point guard is outside of Tyler Hero.
Yeah. But he's the guy they sub in like they do with like Charles Lee does Sion. But also they have what's the other guy? Of course the center, but Wiggins. Wiggins plays good D, in my opinion. And then Norman Powell plays good D. So I just want to see. I don't remember seeing. Davion Mitchell. Thank you, Mohammed.
Oh, okay, Davion Mitchell. Yeah,
Davion Mitchell. But they will be. I don't know when they're playing Miami, but I can't wait to see that. Wait to see because they do have that. Huh?
Yeah, they play Miami next month.
Okay. Yeah, I look forward to that matchup.
First week of March, they play Miami.
Yeah, because they got some players, man. Norman Powell, he's been in the league
he's an all-star. Norman Powell's all-star.
Yeah, he's an all-star. Yeah, but for years though, he's been like a role player. Yeah, a role player, serves as a role player. But now he's kind of starring. But we'll see because they have a system. That what's the coach name? You remember the coach, Mine? I forgot his name.
Spoelstra.
Eric Spoelstra. Yeah. He runs. I mean, from what I noticed, he's a pretty good coach or damn near a genius because he never really played ball. He's like Frank? Not even. Man, these coach names are. I mean, I can't remember them, but he didn't really play ball. And my point is, he's
a video coordinator.
Yeah, he's really an X and O guy. You have to be that if you hadn't played ball, because So my point is, he runs a good system. Miami in general runs a good system, and they seem to always be at the top, right? So we'll see. I just want to see them play Miami. So I'm not sure, but I feel like if they played Miami or Orlando, to answer your question, I think Orlando will be an easier not out, but an easier game for the Hornets. To answer your question, what's your take?
They will play Orlando, but they play Miami. Then they got some few games in between. Then they play Miami again. Then they play Orlando back to back. They play Miami, Orlando back to back in middle of March. Yeah, I don't think they can beat Miami, but I think they can beat Orlando though. If Orlando happen to beat Miami, and then Miami have to play Charlotte, I don't like Charlotte's chances on Miami. But I do like Charlotte's chances on Orlando. If Miami beats Orlando and Orlando fall down to play the elimination game, I think Charlotte Hornet has a great chance, better than a puncher's chance, to beat Orlando and move into the 8th seed. That's because Miami, they just playoff pedigree. It's playoff pedigree written all over them, and it seems like they rises to the occasion in the postseason. So, and it's hard to get a real grip on Miami in the regular season because it seems like they play their best ball in the postseason. That has been one of their things as an organization, to beware when Miami's in the postseason.
But that
So
was more so. That was more so when Jimmy Butler was there, right? Though,
yeah, but
you
I'm
feel
just
like
saying,
that's
it's
still
their
the
culture.
case?
Yeah, just that's the culture of Miami. When you get into the playoffs, they're more of a shark than a guppy.
Hmm.
But we'll see.
Yeah, we'll
We'll see
see.
how
That's why.
how the
Yeah, all I was saying. That's why I want to see in that regular season. I want to see those games. I kind of wish they would have played them, last month or early this month or something, because I want to see how that goes. I really do. I'm not convinced like you are with Miami that they'll lose, but I know Miami will be a tough game because you're right. They do have a playoff pedigree, and they tend to be a tough team in general. So yeah,
So we're going to see, and thanks everyone for pulling up to the screen. Please hit that like button. Don't play yourself. Hit the like button. You're right here. You're right there. Go ahead, hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button if you have yet to subscribe, and definitely hit the notification bell so you won't miss one iota of an exuberant experience. So we at the halfway mark now. We're coming down the final stretch. The Charlotte Hornets have the best record in basketball in the last 10 games going into the break. What more can we say about that? I mean, that is clear, right? I know a lot of Hornets fans are cheering mad and they are gay with happiness that the Charlotte Hornets is looking to turn the corner and to be a hard out for any unit that comes to Charlotte or Charlotte go to their silo. They're looking to be a hard out. And with the emergence of Brandon Miller, with the ascension of Con Knipple, and with the directive of Lamelo Ball, the Charlotte Hornets should be in good shape. I like their chances, and we only got to see if Charles Lee can get out of his own way. Thank you very much for hanging out with us during the stream. Salute everybody. Salute to the chat. Thank you for your engagement. Spread the word. Flight Sports TV is very active, full of motion, and we'll be live streaming play-by-play while the Hornets remain competitive and mathematically eligible to participate in the postseason.